I know we're going to talk about the game, but Blaze, how you feeling about Khazan?
I like it. I really like it. Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if they can hear us. I don't want to fuck you.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Listen, so we're a little late today. I'll take blame. I'm not blaming anybody on this panel but myself. Listen, it's opening day of baseball, okay? And the Mets are already 0-1. I know that's going to make a couple people laugh out loud as they're listening to this. But listen, you got to get warmed up. It's a long season. It would have been a different intro if the Mets were 1-0, but we're not. We're 0-1. Went down 3-1 to the damn Astros. Why are we playing the Astros anyways? Anyway, that's a different conversation. That's a completely different podcast. Nonetheless, we got an outstanding show for you. And listen, take a second, everybody. Please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. Look at that amazing description right there. Right above that's the join button. That's how you get your name in green in the chat. Shout out to the great Mash who's been donating memberships left and right every single week. Shout out to Mash. Really appreciate that. There is an artisan, guys, to podcasting. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this is a great year for games. But when it came to news the past couple of weeks, I said, you know what? I'm going to wait. I know that Erica said to me, Mooch, you know what? We'll work a Thursday out. We'll make a podcast work. I talked to Blaze. He goes, when you need me, he goes, call me. And this week had the news. And I said, this is something where it's going to be deliberation, discussion, debates, a lot of different opinions, and I said, I got to call these guys in here. They got to be a part of it. So without further ado, please, guys, hit that like button. Let people know we are live here in New York. I'll go right to the podcast panel here. You guys know Death Singer all too well. He's become a fan favorite, or at least I think so, in the comment section. Death Singer, you always hit me up on Twitter, now known as X, with such great news that seems to pop, usually against PlayStation, but I appreciate it anyways. Death Singer, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
I mean, I just pop whatever's news popping, because it's so fluid. You never know what's coming out, and it's an all-star panel, so the show's about to be good. But hey, what can you do? More PlayStation IPs going elsewhere.
Well, there it is. The attacks come early. They come early, folks, but they don't come often all the time. But great to have Death Singer here. I appreciate that. So, listen, I'm not a gambling man. You guys know that over the years, right? I say all the time, not big on gambling. But the great creative Kofi says to me earlier in the week, Mooch, you got an 80% chance of me showing up. I gambled. I did. I don't usually do this. But the man literally says 80%. I rolled the dice. I said, I'm not inviting anybody else. I said, I'm going to go with Kofi. He pops in three minutes before we go live. Here he is. I won the jackpot. Creative Kofi's back on the show. Buddy, how you doing this evening?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you again for having me back. I definitely want to hear what the people who have played some of the latest released games have to think about it, because right now I'm just overwhelmed with JRPG heaven right now. But
yes,
Souls is like my number 2 category. I know Erica, I believe you were playing a lot of Remnant 2 back 2 years ago. So I know that you loved the Souls genre, and I was obsessed with that game all of last year. So something like Khazan and some other big titles are like really calling for me.
Yeah, love that. Remnant's awesome too. So yeah,
there's nothing better than when you're doing intros than when the greatest creative Kofi goes ahead and does the intro for the great Erica, who's back on the show. Erica, I'm not going to lie to you. Transition was perfect there, thanks to Kofi. But Erica, honestly, welcome back to the show. And listen, you left X, and and I actually searched. I was like, you know what? She probably left, but she's still there. You're not there. You're not there. I looked high and low. I could not find you. Luckily, we're friends on Discord. And I said, I got to get her on the show. Erica, you're doing fantastic things on YouTube. I love that you're streaming. She did behind the scenes say maybe, I'm not going to put her on spotlight right now. Maybe she's going to come back to Twitch. But I'm hoping so. Erica, welcome back to Crossfire. Great to have you here. And actually tonight, where you may say, you know what, Mooch, I don't agree with you. And that's fine. I got to hear what you say. I miss you on the microphone. Erica, welcome back to the show. How you doing tonight?
Now I'm curious what I would disagree with. I wonder what's going to happen. It feels awesome to be back. I've been meaning to come back. It's just, scheduling, and
it's difficult.
I happen to have today off, requested off for Khazan. So I'm like, you know what? I'll show up. Let's do this. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I actually want to give you some flowers, Mooch, because I've been kind of religiously listening to this podcast again, like every week.
I appreciate that.
I want to say couple months. And you guys are just doing great things here, talking games, getting good guests on here.
Thank you.
And I've just been loving what you're doing here. So I wanted to give you some flowers.
I appreciate that. I've been doing this for 10 years. I think that might have been my first bouquet. I appreciate it. I'll take that. No, to be honest with you, you know what, Erica? That's what we try to do here. We try to get a different rotating panel. Keep up with the news. Of course, you're going to get people's opinions. People always clip the show. That's fine. I don't mind it. Not everyone's going to agree with everybody, but that's okay. We take the hottest and latest news of the week, the games that are coming out, and then we discuss them. And everybody has a different take. Believe me, tonight's going to be different takes. And honestly, Erica, I don't know if you're going to disagree with me on anything. We may be riding right along in the same car the whole way. But let me tell you who's going to keep everybody in check. This is the man I've been waiting for. And if you don't think I wait to pull out that ace card, you guys don't understand business. Because I wait. Blaze 4K does not do shows just because he's bored, okay? You have to earn that call. The great Blaze 4K is back on the show. Blaze, I only call and put the Mooch symbol out when I really need you, buddy. And you're here today, buddy. Great to have you. How you doing?
Yeah, no, you give me too much credit. I appreciate it. No, and the show is great. Like Erica said, I give you credit, man. I don't know how you continuously hit people up. I can't do that, Mooch. I don't know how you hit up all these people. Like, I can't do it, bro. I give you so much credit, and that's why you're winning, and you have a great show, and you're fucking doing great, bro. So shout out to you. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat.
Well, it means a lot, Blaze. Honestly, it really does. And you know what's funny? It's really, really kind for them to say that, but what they don't realize is it's them. Without the panel, there's no show. So, and absolutely no show without this chat. Guys, shout out to the chat as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. You're going to enjoy this. Blaze, I'm going to put you on the hot seat first, right? Why not? Because I think you're going to set this place on fire with this. So the Xbox Steam machine rumors, right? And there's a couple of layers to the onion to peel back, right? So you've been very vocal. I know. Listen, you say this. You're like, I'm a PlayStation guy, but you play on PC and you love PC, and there's nothing wrong with that. But why? What would encourage you, Blaze, to go and pick up a next generation Xbox if they're in fact, because it was, just in case anybody doesn't know, Xbox went ahead and leaked, and I believe it was the Xbox app. I know Death Singer's going to keep me to the truth here. The Xbox app shot was kind of a picture came up. They retracted it. And it showed Steam up on one of the tabs. And it led people to believe that you'll be able to play your Steam games, your Steam library, on a future Xbox, right? So it would be like an Xbox Steam Box collab. Blaze, when you hear something like that, I understand where you initially could say, actually, that's pretty cool, right? Maybe I can play both. Now I can have a console in the living room and you can get your Steam game. But Blaze, if people want to play on Steam, they're building a rig or they're buying a laptop. They're buying and building a PC. That number has been growing exponentially year after year. So why all of a sudden does the console fan base think that that's going to change things for Xbox? What does that do for you as a gamer? Is that something you say, well, I'll have to pick that box up myself?
Yeah, I don't think the narrative is going to change at all with Xbox. I know we talk about brand recognition a lot, and if let's say the Xbox handheld and the new ROG and another iteration of a Steam machine was out there. But I do think to the casual market, I think they're picking up an Xbox. Honestly, I really do. Out of those three, you know, what I mean, just off the, I know we look at the brand, but listen, like I said, I got a ROG, I got a Steam Deck. I'll probably end up buying a Mooch just because I buy shit, but it's rare for me to really take a handheld and like, it's just something like I'm bored. Maybe I just. Steam being there is going to do nothing for me. There's already so many other options out there.
Right.
That's not the selling point to me. Oh, do you have Steam? You can play Steam games on your Xbox. It's not a selling point to me. I have a PC. I have other options. Is it cool? Sure. but it's definitely not a selling point to me at all. Like it's not the reason why I would buy that handheld.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question though, Blaze. Just part two to it is what if it's not a handheld? What if it's a legitimate, the way Steam Box, came out years ago, that didn't work out so well, but what if it's a dedicated console with Xbox logo on it, Steam logo on it, and it's a shared box? Now it's something that sits under your TV, not necessarily the hybrid handheld that we heard about. This is legitimately like a console. Does that change things?
That I'm not gonna lie, that would be a difference maker. Like having a traditional console that I can play my games. Say I don't want to stick an HDMI cord to my PC to my TV. You know what I mean? Like that's maybe that changes things for me. Because it is cool to jump on Game Pass, whatever, jump on Steam. Literally have it's one of those things where like convenience plays a huge part for me on that part. Like I mean, I would sit there and maybe boot it up depending on how powerful this thing is. I might do it, but I really have to see the specs, Mooch, because what are you doing to me that's going to make me walk away from my PC to play it on this Xbox? The specs have to be decent. Like, I mean, better than decent, because I'm not gonna downgrade just to play, you know what I mean, on an Xbox Steam machine. I'm just not doing it.
So,
you know what I mean? So,
and I agree with you, but what happens with those folks that now you happen to have, if not the most powerful, PC on the market you can buy, you have one of the most. So you're saying that the console itself would have to be pretty damn, powerful to be able to get somebody to want to transfer. But there's a lot of PC players, and we go over this with Detzinger every single week. There's a lot of PC players that are probably still rocking a 2080. You know what I mean? So if a console comes out and it's not you, no, not Detzinger. I like how he literally put his hand up. Not me.
Not me.
Not
I
you.
got 5070 now.
Yes,
I got 5070 Ti now.
Not the great Detzinger, everybody. But I'm saying, but Blaze, does that change it now? If it's like, because I don't know if Xbox is going to go for the most powerful console anymore. I don't think that's the market they're in anymore.
I don't know, Mooch. I feel like that's their bag. They've leaned on the whole power narrative for 2 generations now. I feel like they're gonna, what I mean? What other narrative do they have, Mooch?
Well, the narrative is going to be play your Xbox games and your Steam games natively on this box. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I got a PC for that. That's why I'm.
I hear you. Yes. No, I completely agree. Shout out to the great Slow-Mo Backslap. He says, excellent panel. Well, except for Detzinger, of course. Shout out to the great Slow-Mo Backslap. Jay
Slow-Mo.
I mean, I already said his knees weak, his arms are heavy, and he's probably going to be on the floor in like a year. So.
Oh, man. I love that. That's the shout out to the Ash and Luca. Shout out to the Ash and Luca. They're both Scumcast members. That's awesome. Shout out to JC2013. He says, right, basically PlayStation IP nobody has heard of. I think JC was talking to somebody in the chat. Wooly Gamer says, shout out to my boy Kofi and the Queen herself. So I'll go to Erica. Listen, Erica, I don't even have to do intros for you. The audience is doing it and the panel is. Erica, where are you on this? Because you've also been dedicated early on as you were more PlayStation, but then you moved over to PC. And you definitely will go back and forth, but you own a PC. So when you hear the Xbox Steam machine and the rumors that may be going on and how they may be integrated, we'll get into the business end of it and see how that makes sense in a moment. But just the idea of having that under your TV, does that change your idea for next generation or a year from now or 2 years from now, getting that console and putting that underneath the entertainment center?
Is that where we're at in the rumors? Like it's going to be under the TV? Because I'm under the impression it's just a handheld.
So you think?
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I still think it could be a Steam machine, a box, a console. Okay. I think they could have a handheld and a console. I'm bringing up both scenarios. We don't know. This is all rumor and speculation.
I see.
I mean, if you want to roll with just a handheld, you can.
Yeah, because I mean that's the rumors I've heard. I also heard that it's not going to play Xbox games natively either. I don't know if that's true or what, but if that becomes true, I'm with Blaze in the fact that it having Steam doesn't really do much for me. I had a Steam Deck. I already had that experience.
Yep.
And I actually sold my Steam Deck this week. So
wow.
Really?
So yeah, I did. I just wasn't using it anymore. My son, when he was a newborn, I used it a lot. But since he got older, I just kind of stopped using it. So I just figured, I'm going to sell it. I don't need it. I don't play it. I have a gaming laptop, and then I also have my PC, and I use those way more. So I already have the PC experience. I have Steam where I want it.
Yeah.
So this handheld, hybrid, whatever it becomes, Steam is not really that's what's going to make me buy it. That's kind of irrelevant. I feel like it has to do more for me to even entertain buying it, because really where we're at right now, I mean, the reality is we don't need an Xbox. We just don't.
No.
So I'm just in that place, and you mentioned it, like, I'm on my PlayStation, I jumped to PC, but it was kind of the reverse. I was on Xbox 2 gens ago, right? And then I went to PS4. But at the same time, I was already dabbling in PC. I've been on PC heavier since like 2015.
Yep.
So I'm on 10 years of PC gaming. It's just now I'm doing it more often. I'm playing Khazan on PC, for example. So yeah, man, it's one of those things where when I hear these rumors, I'm just like, it's not going to have native Xbox games. I mean, really? And so until we have all that confirmed and like I actually know what the heck it is, I really am not even thinking about it, to be honest. Like, I'm really not. It's not even on my radar.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the things that you said that's interesting, that's what I was alluding to with Blaze. They have to really walk carefully when you're talking about any type of handheld, and it's because of the power situation. I think one of the main reasons that I still think the Steam Deck is a great device and how seamless it is to go from your Steam library on your PC to your handheld. That's very, very unique. I think it's very, very simple and intuitive. But the problem with that is games don't all have the green check mark. They're not all verified. Sometimes there's this and that. Sometimes it's a little clunky. Sometimes it doesn't work so well. It's not great. I think the Steam Deck 2 is going to be outstanding. I think when that's announced, that's probably going to be something they're going to put a little more power, a little more battery in there. But yeah, the other thing is
Mooch.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to cut you off, but you got to remember, Switch 2 is around the corner too. So that's a big deal as well.
It is, and normally I would have probably dismissed that comment, but I'm not going to, Erica, because of the main fact, to be honest with you, that Switch 2 is going to be getting a lot of third-party games, where Switch, the first one, it didn't. So now with that, you make a good point. Is that going to change things? If people already have a handheld in their home and they're going to be able to play future Call of Duties and future other games that are going to be, slightly less in the power department, I really do believe that's a situation where Switch 2 could hurt future handhelds like Asus ROG Ally when they come out with next, or Xbox's handheld, or even the Steam Deck 2. So I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Full Sweaty Tryhard. I appreciate that great super chat. He goes, "Here's some money I saved not having to buy that wool garbage." Oh, okay. You're gonna get Erica all riled up so early. Assassin's Creed.
Don't even start.
Love the show. Keep up the great work, Mooch and Panel. Well, Full Sweaty Tryhard. I got to tell you, we're gonna talk about Assassin's Creed. We're gonna talk a little bit. I've gotten a chance to put. I'm about 15 hours into it now. We'll talk a little bit about it. We're going to talk, and Erica's really going to go off. You're going to get a full earful on that one, Full Sweat.
I don't know about all that, but I do have some thoughts. Yeah,
so
we'll get to
she has a few thoughts, but I appreciate the super chat. Sheffield Sphere says, "Mooch, I don't know how to prove this, but last week when Kami revealed his PC specs to D, I could tell D was disgusted." Well, Sheffield Sphere, yes. Shout out to the great Kami who was on the show yesterday. He does outstanding work on X. You guys should go over and follow him. Yes, they were both going back and forth, a little bit of a debate, which is what CrossFire is built on. So shout out to Sheffield Sphere. I appreciate that. Death Singer, I got to go to you on this because you heard what Blaze said. You hear what Erica's saying. When it comes down to it, why do you see so many people? I almost feel like, this is the third iteration within the generation, right? We've got ABK came through, and the Xbox camp was very excited about that. That didn't really pan out the way. Then the only 4 games, that didn't really pan out the way. And now you've got Steam on an Xbox. And of course, everyone's saying that's the next, great hope. Death Singer, where are you on this? Again, and it's crazy because I go Blaze, Erica, Death Singer. They play, I say predominantly. I don't want to say the percentage. I don't know. But they play a lot of PC games. So Death Singer, where are you on this?
Let's keep it 100.
Please.
The only reason people actually care on Twitter, the only reason they don't give a shit about Steam, right, on Xbox. No. The only thing they care about is I get to play your PlayStation games on my Xbox through Steam, right? Underline that, capital, put lights on it, right? That's the only reason they care. Me, I don't care. I have Steam. I have my library. I don't need this. Many people don't need this. Many people won't care. So it does absolutely nothing. Plus, you also have a conflict of interest. Because third-party games sell on Xbox, while third-party games are sold on Steam. So when you have the box, do they go, well, you could choose. You could either buy it here on Steam, or you could buy it here through the Xbox store. Well, then what's the point of having two stores?
Right.
It's completely pointless. I don't think Microsoft would get the money they want for it because it's just a whole convoluted mess. Like, Steam should just keep what Steam's doing, and Microsoft should just keep separate. Because trying to bring it over, you're conflicting your libraries. Like, oh, I have Assassin's Creed on Xbox, I have Assassin's Creed on PC. Well, okay, so there's a conflict, and let's be real, a majority of the Steam games that do well, they're only available on PC. Console people ain't gonna play those games. So it's just not the market. Like, okay, they put Valorant on console, right? I can tell you now, Valorant won't be as popular on console as it is on PC. It's just not that type of game. And the same thing, CSGO is on Steam. Bring that over. Well, it's not going to be as popular as on PC. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it.
So I do agree with you. The chat is loving what you're saying. They're like, Death Singer's finally spitting facts. I think he spits facts more often than you're giving him credit for. But nonetheless.
I do.
but Death Singer.
He does.
He does. Well, yeah.
I do. I spit facts. I spit straight fire.
He believes in him, which is a very important part of the show. Well, all right, Kofi, what do you think when you hear Death Singer say that? Because the one thing I'll ask you, this is kind of a question I've had in the pocket here to ask is, console gamers really do play different types of games than PC. Also, console gamers, look at what they said. They said console was dead when? Even the PS4 era, Xbox One era, they're like, consoles are going to be dead, right? And they absolutely thrived, and they're thriving now. It doesn't mean that people don't double dip. You just heard from 3 people that they own consoles and they own a PC. But there are a lot of people that just strictly own console. They don't want the hassle. They don't want to worry about the new card or the new CPU coming out every 18 to 24 months. They just want to have a console that's good in their home for 7 to 9 years, depending on the generation. So, Kofi, again, I don't know how much of a sales pitch this really is to console gamers. The other thing is I don't know how Steam's not going to give a percentage up to Microsoft when you buy a game on there. So I don't know how they're going to negotiate that. It seems like a win for Steam and maybe a little bit of a loss for Microsoft. And everybody says to me all the time, Microsoft doesn't care. They don't care, Mooch. They have a lot of money to lose. They can lose whatever they want. I mean, every store has a lost leader, right? Your liquor stores have vodka. Your grocery stores have milk. But they don't want to lose money on the entire cart you walk out with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I am personally, just to give background on where my thoughts are coming from, I'm in the market for a handheld device. Something like the Steam Deck, I do not mind. It would be something I would consider. The reason why I don't own one is because I liked the idea of the PlayStation Portal, and I was hoping PlayStation would be a little more hurried in getting me a portable that plays games locally. So I've always kind of kept my eyes out. I do own a Switch, but I usually play that docked. And, Switch 2, that is very interesting, but something that has access to Steam does have me interested. So, I often try to consult with, other gamers in either my community or online, and a lot of feedback I get, either whether this is specifically switching to a console that would be not portable, is there is a space where gamers who have built a PC, by the way, I have a built PC, but mine's 2018, so a few gens old, they don't like where prices are going for a build that they think can run AAA games. So
That's
they
fair.
see something like a custom, maybe it's, custom box, like what Xbox may be releasing, could fill that void where it could compete on as a console platform against something like PlayStation still, yet have access to many more games like the Steam library. I think the problem with that is Xbox would have to sell at profit. I think that's really the only way that Xbox can say, hey, this is where we kind of get our maximum return on this, because Steam is massive and influential. And I think if we're talking about PC gamers buying this box, they're just going to buy Steam games. I don't necessarily know that they would want to subscribe to Game Pass.
Okay.
They might just wait for that summer sale, just buy these games at ridiculously great prices, and then the situation kind of turns into, Xbox really doesn't have a uniqueness here, where they sell their games here, they sell their games there, and maybe PlayStation games are available there. We'll see how that rolls out. But if Game Pass is uninteresting, people would just be buying this box, cutting out the NVIDIA GPU. I'm an NVIDIA guy, so I know those prices are not the most competitive compared to AMD. So I just see that as long as Xbox can sell something that can compete with PS6, I'll throw out, and be profitable, that's an option. I don't know if that's easy to do. I just don't see them selling an Xbox at a loss and having Steam available, and Steam being so influential with great prices.
Yeah. No, all those are good points, Erica. No, please go ahead.
You're right. If they do want to sell at a profit, then you got to start thinking, okay, how expensive is this thing going to be? Because if you're going to appease that market that's looking for a handheld, because you brought up a good point, like I might not be the market for this, right? But others might be. And if the price isn't right, that could be really detrimental. So it just really depends on that. I mean, really, are they going to take a loss again? I don't think they want to. But at the same time, they can't really sell it that expensive, so it's going to be interesting. And then also with Game Pass, another thing, it's the Xbox app. They need to make the Xbox app better. If they expect people to use Game Pass on that system or on PC in general, that app needs to improve greatly, because it is not good.
Yeah,
it is not a good app.
Awful, bro.
It's awful. It's horrible. It is really, really bad.
It really is. So they need to get that in check.
I want to say this, Mooch, about look, there's a huge market here. Like, I know we say nobody wants an Xbox, but like you said, there's people that don't want a PC.
Yep.
And they're leaving millions and millions on the table right here. Just in like, what about the people that have a Series X that want to continue moving forward and playing games on their Xbox? There's a huge, listen, it might not be a big market like PlayStation, but there's still a market there. So, I think they do need a next iteration of an Xbox, just so you don't leave all these people behind. Now you're saying, well, go ahead, go buy whatever you want. You know what I mean? Because it's still, look, and at the end of the day, the PC market right now it's a mess. If you want a CPU, like the good CPUs, if you want a GPU, good luck, bro. You know what I mean? Like I've been trying to get a 5090 for a month now. I got Twitter alerts going every day. I gave up on it. It's a mess. The PC market is a mess. It's a complete joke when it comes to buying GPUs, bro.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep. No, Blaze, you make a good point there. I mean, so you brought something up, Blaze. I got to ask you. So you said the idea of having a console and that not going away. I actually talked to a few people, and listen, I won't name names, but they wrote me. They go, Mooch, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little concerned about the fact that I own 600, 700, 800, depends on who I was talking to, different Xbox games. I think they do have to have another console. They have to have something out there for those folks that aren't going to want to stream. That's the other thing. Xbox, I think, is moving big into the cloud, which is what Erica was kind of alluding to. These are going to be stream games, maybe on a handheld. Maybe it will be dedicated that you can download the game too. But they are going to push their cloud. But Blaze, they have to come out with some sort of a box, right? Because I mean, there's people with 800 different games on Xbox that a lot of them are back compat too. They're going to want to be able to continue that. If that just dies off and they're like, no, you can play our future games on PlayStation, where are they going to play these games? Are they going
Mooch, not only that, you got to think, a lot of people don't want a PC, and guess what? A lot of people don't want a PlayStation. There's a lot of Xbox guys that are not willing to just leave behind thousands of dollars of their library that they've built up.
And I get that.
You know what I mean? 2 decades. Get that. They got a library on Xbox, dude. They don't want to just... You know what I mean? So they need to, I think this needs to continue, whether people think it's worth it or not, or it's going to sell or not. I still think you need to feed those people.
I said the gentleman I was talking to yesterday, I said, I'll be honest with you. I said, my personal opinion, I said, you don't have to go spend $5,000. But I said, it would be in your best interest to probably build, or buy a laptop. That way your Xbox games will go over to the PC, on the Xbox app, which Erica goes, I'm getting anxiety just thinking about the Xbox app on PC. It's really bad.
It is so
bad.
Awful.
But your library will be there, right? The library would be there. Death Singer, that's true, correct? I mean, I really don't play Xbox on PC.
No, not your entire library.
The entire library would not go.
Only games that are
Play anywhere?
Cross buy? Play anywhere. That's
play
the
anywhere,
word.
yeah.
Yeah, it's only play anywhere tiles. Because if you go, when I go on my library, like Forza's there, yeah. But I have all the games from the 360. They're not there. I have other games, they're not there. Other third-party Destiny ain't there. I got
all the OG titles.
Yep, none of them are there. Like, it's only Play Anywhere titles, so it's only a select titles. Like, you don't get your entire library. So
that's what I'm saying with that rumor of the not being able to play the whole library. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. So I think that, and listen, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. I do think Xbox has been very clear that they're going to have another console. What that console will be, I think they're going to offer a handheld, and they're going to have this other box. Now, what that box is, Blaze says they got to stick to their roots and stick with the power. I just don't. Listen, it's not going to be a weak box, but it may not be the one that competes with the PS6 as far as power. I don't know. Maybe it will. I have no idea. Blaze, the next part of this onion I said we're going to peel back on this subject is a lot of people are saying, oh, well, this is great. I'll buy the new Xbox. It'll have Steam on it, and I'll play my PlayStation games there. Listen, I don't pretend to be an IT guy. I don't write code, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Okay? But I will tell you this, Blaze. I don't think Sony's going to allow you to go buy another console and then play their games from Steam on another console. I don't think that would be something that they would allow. That literally goes against everything. They are still standing on business with their console. They say it all the time. They're already talking PS6. Right? So this is in development. That's a big part of their business plan. Can they do that? Do you think that that's going to be something that'll be capable?
Wait, are you saying like?
So if there's
a Steam
like a ROG Ally, you
the
can
Steam
do that.
games, the Steam games.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can do that right now on a ROG Ally. You know, what I mean, and play PlayStation games.
You absolutely can. But ROG Ally sold what, 1 million units?
They're not. Xbox is going to sell 1 million units too, brother.
Okay, so that's my question. So you're saying this is not a problem?
Not competition.
Look, I get what you're saying, but
I'm asking,
how can they stop if there's a Steam app? There's nothing they can really do about it. You know what I mean? If there's a Steam app on your system or your console, you have access to the full. You know what I mean?
Okay.
To Steam. I mean, there's nothing they can do about it.
That's why I'm asking. I mean? Yeah. So you're saying if there's a Steam app on a future Xbox console, they'll be able to play PlayStation games on said console.
Yes,
I would assume so. Yeah, if there's a Steam app, and you can access your library 100%.
Because the only way they'll be able to stop it is if they pull their games from Steam. But then they're shooting themselves in the foot, because then PC gamers will be like, "Oh, royally fuck off! You ain't selling shit on PC anymore." So it's like you're gonna piss a whole bunch of people off if you rip them from the Steam store because Steam is on Xbox. So they'd have to think very carefully: is it worth it? And at the end of the day for Sony is like, okay, is this worth it? Is it worth letting a handful of people play your game on an Xbox? Like if it was like, oh, you could play the game on a Switch. That's a different conversation because that's a massive base.
I mean, what are they going to do, Mooch? You're going to see on Twitter someone's going to take a picture of them holding an Xbox controller playing Ghost of Tsushima. You can do that right now on your PC. Play with an Xbox controller.
That's right.
I mean, really, what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? It's so minuscule. I do think, maybe they'd feel some type of way about it. But again, if there's a native app of Steam on the device, that there's literally nothing they can do.
That's interesting. Yeah, I thought there would be more of a way that they could. Some people in the chat are saying here, I'm just looking to see, because like I said, I don't know. So I'm not going to speak to it to say I know, but this way they could block by device ID. I don't know if that exists. That's just somebody in the chat saying that. I don't know. I would think that you guys say it doesn't matter, and that's totally fine. But Xbox still sold 30. I've heard this is coming from the Xbox camp. I've heard anywhere from 30 to 36 million Xbox Series consoles. So, so Kofi, when you hear and listen, you hear what Blaze is saying. Like, it holds water. But what I'm asking you, Kofi, is doesn't PlayStation want those 30 million to be like, okay, great, now you can only play them over here for the first year anyway or two. So come over and buy a PS6 or a PS5 Pro. We don't want you guys buying an Xbox that has our Steam games on it. Is that something that, or that's just like that thing you're saying? That ain't Sony's place to even make a call.
Oh man, I'll be honest. I think Sony would hate it. I do. If I stepped away for a second, but if Blaze was saying that PlayStation has very little control, I lean in agreement to that. Because you've already sold it to a customer, right? The customer allegedly is happy. Steam is handling the distribution. I just don't see how PlayStation could come through and say no. But I'm sure there will be some interesting litigation about this. I feel like PlayStation has thought about this already, but it just comes down to if Xbox can get this done. Can they get Steam to run as you would, right? To get patch updates and to be able to find your purchase regardless of what store you purchased it from, right? Because there's going to be some Microsoft equivalent store and Steam with the same game.
Yeah.
And can they organize as well? Because I hate to go on a side rant. Microsoft in general has just run apps so poorly year to year to gen to gen. It doesn't matter if it's on a phone. It doesn't matter if it's an app. For some reason, they just can't get these things optimized.
Yeah.
So if they can finally nail, I always say this, my best friend, he is diehard Xbox. So he always throws these theories that he would say, hey, Kofi, you would buy, the next Xbox handheld if they had an OS that ran on it that didn't run any bloatware. I said, you're right. I would buy that.
Yeah.
But when is that going to happen?
Right.
And it's just that waiting game. So I wonder if they can put the wheels to the road, really have an OS that runs this great, that can somehow partner with Steam and make it feel seamless. Then I'm very curious what PlayStation will do.
No,
it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting for sure. Either way,
GeForce Now. I'm sorry, Eric. I know they're bringing up GeForce Now, but GeForce Now, they're blocking that because they're like, oh, you're not going to just pay this rental service and play our games for free. I'm talking about people that already bought the game. Right. It's in their library. They bought it. That GeForce Now is a streaming service, bro. That's like, of course they want to block that because they're like, oh, this guy's just going to pay $10 and stream all our games. No, we want that seal. That's the difference.
Exactly. Existing purchases. Yeah.
I also think Sony could probably say no, but then Steam will probably have as Slow-Mo said, I think Steam will have Valve will have a problem with that. They'll be like, excuse me, you're telling these people have already purchased the game through our store. We've already done the transaction. You've got your percentage, and games you buy on Steam are stored on the Steam server. When you click download the game, it downloads off the Steam servers. That's where they sell the games. So if you're going to block it, you'll have to go into the Steam servers. Valve will tell you to royally fuck off if Sony tries to do that. So, like, Gabe ain't going to give a shit. So it's like, okay.
It's like, are you going to give them the money back or what?
Yeah, and then you'll have to do mass refunds if you pull the game from the Steam store. And then Valve's going to have a problem with that because they now have to give
you seen how many people cried about signing into an email and all the bad publicity Sony and the developers? And you know what's going to happen if they try to do this shit, bro? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's going to be a disaster.
It will be a PR disaster, specific and a monetary disaster because then you have to... Okay, you could say, oh, Spider-Man 2 only sold 2 million copies. Yeah, but now you have to refund 2 million people. Someone's got to pay for that, and Valve ain't going to pay it all.
I can't see that happening. It just would be so crazy. It'd be so petty on Sony's part, you know? It would just be insane.
Erica, speaking of that, Impatient Fire says here in the Super Chat, he says, Sony can block the Xbox API from being able to access their Steam games. It's quite easy, and we know Sony is petty enough to do so.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've been petty before, so I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
But it just still would be crazy, though.
Thing is, Steam can't tell, as JC said in the chat, Steam can't tell PlayStation what they can and can't do. But you notice how fast PlayStation reversed that PSN sign-in for Helldivers 2. You saw how quick Sony folded? Those knees buckled ASAP.
Death Singer, the only thing me and you go back and forth with week in and week out is you do like to go to Helldivers 2, and don't get me wrong, your case works there. That was also one of the largest success stories, in quite some time on PC. Sony doesn't have these problems, really. They don't really care. Look at the sales for God of War and The Last of Us, now Last of Us 2. They're not going to break records when these games come out. This is actually, this is just extra money in their pocket. For most of the games, so if they want some of these live service games to really hit, you know what I mean? But I don't know if necessarily that Helldivers 2 is the best example. It's an example and a good one, but it doesn't follow suit for the rest of their IP.
Well, they said they want to expand to PC, so it's kind of like, you know, you've ported a few crap ports, like games that are really bad, like look at Horizon when that first came over. I think The Last of Us as well was like the first Last of Us was a really bad port. If one done by Nixis, it's generally a bad port. So I don't know. If you're trying to sell to the PC gamers, though, bear in mind a lot of these games are from like 2019. These games are like 4 years old, 5 years old. Like you're not going to get a whole bunch of people to play a game that came out like 4 years ago. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
They could very well block it. You know, people are saying, "Oh, they can do this. They can listen." This is just speculation. This is what we're doing. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, if they block it or don't block it, I'm good. I got a PS5 Pro. I got a PC. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm gonna buy the next PlayStation. You know what I mean? I feel like people. This is why you got to own everything. You know what I mean? So there's no issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A company wants to fuck with you one way. Sorry for my language. You know what I mean? You're good, bro. This is why you own what you feel is gonna bring value to you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that makes too much sense, though.
It makes too much sense.
Makes too much sense. You can't do that around here. What
no,
you
yes,
about?
no, don't do that, please.
You play games? Oh, you can't do that.
Shout out to Slow-Mo, too, as we welcome Nib. Nib, welcome to the show, but I just want to read Slow-Mo here. He says, region locking is different than device locking. Region locking blocked out an entire country. This would be blocking devices regardless of region. They could absolutely do it, but Valve would likely remove those games from the store. I do agree with Slow-Mo on that as well. Shout out to Aaron Brown as well. He says Xbox and then in quote PC is from an obviously confused company. And then Impatient fires back. He says you actually all have to own the Steam games you stream on GeForce Now. Sony had no problems blocking them from running on Xbox through the GeForce experience or app. So I don't listen again. No one on the panel's pretending to be, in the know here. We're just kind of speculating. But Nib, you're coming at a great time. Everybody's kind of made some outstanding points. Nib, did we wake you up, by the way? Nib is over in England, by the way, guys. It is 5 hours ahead for Nib. So, I deeply apologize, but I can't do these at 3 p.m. or I would, Nib.
No, I thought you were live. So for me, at 12 a.m. is the usual time. And I was like, I'm playing Assassin's Creed. I'm killing people left and right, kicking them off bloody mountains and stuff. And I go on Twitter and I just see Jay Barry. He liked a tweet or something. It said, "We're live now." And I was like, "Oh, snap."
Well, wait, you guys, the reason is just so everybody knows a little context here. The great Death Singer told me about this. England does, Europe, they move their clocks forward like we did, but we did it earlier about 3 weeks ago. Theirs is, I think, this Saturday.
Of course.
Yours is this Saturday. So we started at 11 o'clock your time this week. Next week, we're back to midnight, Nib, over in England.
Okay.
Yes.
So daylight savings.
That's correct.
Daylight savings.
Yes.
He does these late shows, Nib. You know what I mean? Shame on him. These late shows.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I don't even want to hear that. I
was like, what's going on? Why is he already live? Like,
I did Blaze's show. It must be that I'm 100% Italian. Blaze gave me a free pass on this one. I'm like, Blaze, we going to start at 9 o'clock on Saturday? He goes, I think it might be about 9:45, maybe 10:30. I go, oh, please, okay. Blaze, please. Oh, please, 9 o'clock. Because we already went 3. Yeah, we went 3.5, 4 hours anyway. So it was like 1 a.m. when we finished up, and we started at 9. If we started at 10:30, we might as well just had breakfast. Order some sandwiches, So
yeah. Anyway, sorry for that.
No, that's okay. So
I actually was not asleep. But like Assassin's Creed Shadows has robbed my sleep a lot lately.
It is ruining. It is right. It's very honestly, and we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed. It is one of the topics, so we're going to get into that. But Nib, real quick, what's your take on the Xbox Steam Machine rumors? What do you think about it, and also the PlayStation games possibly being able to be played on a future box that has a Steam app?
Yeah, so I just caught the tail end of your conversation, whether Sony will block it or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, right? It's possible they could do it. But I think like more to the Steam box itself, or like Xbox Steam box or whatever, it's a really interesting prospect. And I want to be like excited for it. Like, oh, it could, it's like could be quite an interesting proposition. But then at the same time, I'm like, not to get ahead of myself because the Xbox PC app is dreadful and if it runs that and has, or something similar to that, and has more abstract between console and PC, less console hardware specific customizations, and is priced to be a console price, I don't know if it necessarily will be a good thing, because a lot of times, like on the PC side, you are brute forcing games, right? Like they may have optimization issues or whatever, but if you have a competent enough rig, you can kind of supersede that and supersede consoles. But if this is priced like as a mainstream device and it has, has to run PC games or whatever as well, or maybe it won't, and maybe it will just run the console games that are on Steam. But if it can run all Steam games, then, in terms of technology and the hardware and the API and everything, there's going to be less console specific sort of customizations and optimization refinements. So it may not necessarily run them great for the hardware that you're getting. So yeah, I'm interested in, because like I said, because they haven't done a great job on the PC app side of things, I'm apprehensive. Maybe something similar, like the new, I think there's a Asus system that does similar, and it has like Steam OS and stuff, and it can theoretically run Xbox games from Steam on that. Maybe that could be something a better proposition, but it all depends on how they price it. Whether they take a loss or whether it's a loss leader, or it's they don't make much of a profit on it or whatever. Then it could have viability, but we'll see. I don't know. Like, to be honest, like, will Sony block the games? I honestly don't know. But then with Xbox bringing all their games to PlayStation, maybe PlayStation won't see Xbox as much of a threat going forward, especially if those games.
That's what Erica and Blaze were saying earlier, that maybe they just don't consider them a threat. Willie Gamer says, where's the money for Xbox on all third-party games bought via Steam app? No one's thought this theory through. It's self-destructive, mind you. This is Xbox. Shout out to Willie. Yeah, Erica, did you... Oh, go ahead. And Erica has a comment after. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so it's an interesting thing, because you're exactly right. It's kind of like this whole thing with ubiquitous PC releases day. It's essentially kind of taken money from them in a sense, because once people transition to PC and they no longer need an Xbox, they lose that 30% cut, right? Which is probably why, despite doing day PC releases from 2016 onwards, now you'd think if you're releasing all your games on PC day, you're talking 130 million on Steam. Phil Spencer said 650 million PC gamers. You'd think the sales and revenue would increase, but take out ABK and revenue has actually been completely flat.
Yes,
the entire generation.
Yeah.
I think the exact figure is 2.5% revenue growth over the last 4 years without ABK. So PC games didn't do diddly squat, because if you gain sales but you also drive people away from your console, you lose that 30% cut on every single transaction. And I think that's the equilibrium why they haven't gained. So yeah, Steam could essentially be similar, but I think, and I heard Tom Warren speak about this, I think Microsoft are doing it more to kind of fend off Steam OS and a potential Steam console in future. Like, they want to kind of ensure that they're still competitive in that area. But yeah, whether it's viable or not remains to be seen.
Well, we didn't even talk about it. Erica, do you want to respond?
Yeah, I wanted to add a little bit. I felt like I was in the middle of one of those long Twitter posts right now. I was like, I don't want to interrupt.
it is the AI. Yes. AI bot speaking.
Shout out to Nib. No, I was just going to add that, yeah, it could be possible. I mean, it's probable that Sony just doesn't really see them as a threat. I mean, they are getting Xbox games now. That's a thing. And then also, I've heard the theory that this could be the start. This handheld could be the start of Xbox kind of exiting the hardware market and having others make their hardware, like the Rogue Allies.
That's right.
The Lenovo's, or I don't know the different companies, but they could essentially start making the products for them. They just slap some Xbox Game Pass on there and say, hey, you got Steam, you got Game Pass, you got this. But it's not really a through and through like Xbox. You know what I mean? So there's that theory too. And if that comes true, then Sony games being on there really won't, be as a big deal as we think it could be.
Yeah, and actually, that was a good point that you're saying, Erica, and also what Nib had mentioned, that there was rumor, it died down, but the Steam box and Steam coming out with their own console. Brap, by the way, welcome, Brap, to the show. Brap, I'm glad you could make it this week.
What's up, Brap?
Brap, what do you think about the whole thing? You had some great interactions on X earlier today with, one of the brightest out there. Brap, what did you think?
Yeah, exactly. One of the brightest, right? 18,000 games. Okay, like if Boob Simulator's your thing, then have at it, But yeah, and there's a lot of shovelware on Steam, so let's not prop that up as like some kind of win. But no, it's funny. I've heard about people say API, Xbox API, and it's like they could block the Xbox API. Well, the Xbox API, my understanding is that it's basically an API that's used to hook into Xbox Live services on console. So like, and to help with like publishing games on the Xbox app, Game Pass, stuff like that. It's not necessarily mandatory. And Game Logic actually had a great rundown or great post about this on X. I think it was a couple days ago. But this idea of this like hybrid console and kind of like, is Sony gonna block? I mean, I know it sounds sexy. It's like, yeah, they're gonna block. Are they gonna C block them? I'm not gonna say what that means, but like, are they gonna do that? Like, are they gonna be like nasty Sony? I don't know. I don't think they will, only because like at the end of the day, someone said this here. Xbox games are coming to PlayStation, and it's probably only a matter of time before they start coming day and date. Could be wrong, but that's just it would surprise me. But again, like their games on PC, if this is a hybrid PC type thing, if it's like a ROG, I think was it the Asus NUC or Nuke or whatever it's called, if it's something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the Steam, like they're not releasing games on Steam for like 15 months, so you still have to wait, right? And so I don't. Do they really need to block them if you have to wait 15 months, 24 months to play a game? Maybe not,
That's a good point. That kind of rides along with what Blaze said to start this. He said, Mooch, you're looking at this like Sony's still looking at them like competition. I don't know if they really are.
I don't think, and I think if they do go this route of this hybrid type thing, these hybrid PCs or these mini PCs, if you look at like the Asus NUC or Nuke, whatever it's called. I mean, they're up there in pricing. I mean, there's different tiers. I think maybe the cheapest one's $800. They go up to like $1,200. So now you're thinking about a different consumer demographic. You're not looking at a console anymore. I'd be surprised if Microsoft wants to compete in the console space again. I could be wrong, but they've kind of, at least in my opinion, they've kind of ceded the high-end console market to Sony. They're not gonna try to take on Nintendo, and Nintendo's kind of that low-end console market because Nintendo is just dominant there. So this could be a unique way for them to carve out their own niche, their own market, outside of trying to compete with PlayStation and Nintendo. And I think that kind of makes sense because if you look at Windows and Microsoft being Microsoft is synonymous with PC, right?
Yep.
I just hope, and someone else said this, maybe it was Kofi. I was listening before I jumped on. That I think Kofi said, I hope they can get it right. They haven't really made an app. Remember Windows Gaming Live? Let's hope it's not an effort like that. I hope
that was horrible.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it's a strategic effort that's implemented at a very high level. I say high level in terms of like execution. But I don't. I think it's. I see some people say, "Oh, this is going to make the value proposition for PlayStation, it's going to lessen the value proposition, maybe for some consumers, but not for all." Again, there's something to be said for ecosystems. Phil Spencer's talked about this. The console generation that you didn't want to lose was last console generation. People are in their ecosystem. Same way people are in their ecosystem with Apple. I think you're an Apple guy, right, Mooch?
Absolutely.
Yeah, are you going to leave Apple for Samsung? I would advise you that you do, but you probably won't.
Well, and like you said, don't get me wrong. There's definitely some perks on the other side, right? But I won't because I've got. Well, listen, no, I can't. But I got Apple Music, I've got Apple TV. Beautiful. The whole family's integrated. And who the heck wants to see that green text? Go ahead, Brap.
But again, like it's once you start including Steam, Epic, I mean, this thing it's Xbox by name, but it's essentially a PC, right? And I look at the Asus Nuke. I mean, that thing can sit, next to your TV. I mean, there's PC builds that can sit next to your TV. Are we going to call those consoles because they're under your TV? No, they're not. You're not going to do that. And I don't think they're going to. I think if I'm Microsoft and I'm trying to distinguish myself from my competitors now, because look, it's clear this isn't. I'm not saying that Xbox is bad, but just look at the market uptake of Xbox Series consoles. They're actually selling less consoles than they did the Xbox One console generation, right? And I said this on
360 now as well. Yeah,
and the 360. And I said this on Brap yesterday, which goes live Friday nights. Although we did a special Wednesday night.
Great plug, buddy. Nice plug.
Show Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But I say this it's interesting because they had, to me, they had the strongest hand coming in this generation with backwards compatibility, which I think they did a better job than Sony. They had acquired studios, so they addressed kind of that exclusive issue they had. They had Game Pass, which was a tremendous value proposition. They had 2 SKUs. They offered a very competitive, low cost entry point to the console generation. And then if you wanted that high end console, you wanted that Ferrari, if you will, they had that. They seemed to have all the bases covered. And what surprised me is the market said, no, we don't want you. We're going to go with the more expensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
That is telling. There's something, and again, I'm not saying that to say Xbox sucks or console war. It's just the reality of the market reaction to the Xbox.
Well, we said that, Brap. Remember 2020? Remember 2020, 2021? Yeah. We said 100 times on the show, the market will dictate. Forget what we say. Forget everybody else.
Absolutely. I always say that. Look at how the market reacts. People are like, oh, nobody wants to spend $500. I'm like, MFers, people spend $200 on tennis shoes. Tennis shoes, things with rubber and air bubbles and nylon, and they get scuffed. And people will spend $200. People will spend $300 aftermarket. After they can't buy it, FOMO kicks in. They're on StockX. They're spending $300 on the Air Jordans.
Absolutely.
People spend $2,000 on GPUs. That's just one part to a PC. We need to understand that the market is so stratified in gaming. We have. It drives me crazy.
No, I hear you.
Podcasters, they turn this to a binary argument. It isn't. There's so much nuance that's missed from this conversation. Like we're all consumers. We all value things differently. I'm not going to buy a 5090. That's just not. I'm not that consumer. But there are consumers out there that want that GPU, but I don't sit there and say, well, you know what? I don't want a 5090, therefore the rest of the market doesn't.
Right.
It's just a dumb conversation. It's just
absolutely. It's not for you, but it's
sorry for the rant, Mooch. Sorry for the rant.
No, that's okay. I appreciate the Brap rant. Go ahead. I got a couple super chats, but go ahead.
I was going to piggyback off what he said as well. Like the thing is, and I know some PC people are not going to like this, and they're going to, but it's just data. Okay, like don't worry about my opinion. Just go by the data. Like, if you actually look at the PlayStation games that have released on Steam, none of them have actually done gangbusters, right? Outside of Helldivers 2. So the ones that are coming much later, the tentpole kind of titles, they're doing a fraction of what they sold on PlayStation, right? So it's like, okay, do PC gamers not care about, the PlayStation stuff? Or the other thing is maybe they already got it on PlayStation. The ones that are interested in the first-party games, they already have a secondary PlayStation, or they don't want to wait around. And the reason we have like evidence to suggest that could be the case is because like Sakana already said, like 30% of active PC gamers owned a PS4. I think it was like 4 years ago or something like that, right? So we had adoption rate from there. And now, if you look at, for example, the last quarter, it was a record-breaking quarter. PlayStation sold more PS5s than any other similar quarter. And of the, I think it was 9.5 million PS5s that were sold, 4 point something million were to people who never owned a PlayStation, right? So 42% of them didn't have a PlayStation before. That's massive new consumer adoption. Where are they coming from? They can't all just be new to gaming, right? Maybe some did come from PC. Maybe some came from Xbox. Maybe some came from Switch or whatever else. Some are completely new. But point is, like, people are not really waiting around to play those PlayStation games on PC, as the data shows. Most of them are buying them just on PlayStation. Hence, something like, like a Horizon Zero Dawn or a God of War can sell like, 17, 18 million on PlayStation, and they do like 1.2 on PC or something. Again, they're already playing them. And so when we talk about like Xbox and Steam and how much of a threat it's going to be to PlayStation, as in the ecosystem and platform, well, the data already shows us that it's actually not really much of a threat. It's just some additive revenue, and maybe the PlayStation executives are right, and it's actually driving more people to PlayStation when they play a game and they think, do you know what, I don't want to wait for the next one. I'll just get a PlayStation.
Yeah, well, there's something.
Go ahead. Well, Brap, the only thing I was going to add to this was, and I just want to throw this caveat out there because we were talking about it in Blaze. I wanted to ask Blaze this question because, we noticed that GT7, they stopped the PC port. They pulled back on that. And a lot of these decisions started to come, or it was right around the same time. I don't know if it was when the announcement happened, when they changed, when Jim stepped down and then they were waiting for the new, they tried the dual CEOs, then they went to the one CEO, and now Herman Hulst. Whether he's an equivalent or not, he still answers to the one CEO, and it's not Herman Hulst making the calls anymore. I don't believe from the top. But so do you think, Blaze, we are going to see Sony kind of step back from the PC? Me and Detzinger were going back and forth on a good conversation earlier about this. Will they step back from the PC a little bit or slow it down? Because they're not making a ton of money on that, and they've already said they don't really want to go day and date, especially with single player games. So why would they pull GT7 still selling like crazy on the console? So why wouldn't they stop the port on that, and they stopped the port on another game? I can't remember which one it was.
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls.
Yeah. Listen, you would think out of every game PlayStation's ever ported to PC, you'd think Gran Turismo would be number one on the list. There's so many Sims and all these car games always do well. I said this on Solidcast 3 weeks ago. I people call me crazy. I think Sony's about to pull a Michael Jackson, dude. I'm telling you. And they're going to moonwalk all this shit back, bro. Listen, whatever's on there is on there. But going forward, look, look, man, call me crazy, Mooch, but I feel like something changed. And I do feel like there's a chance that this shit could go left. Listen, people act like it can't happen. Xbox had games on PC years back, and then they removed it. So why are you acting like it can't happen to PlayStation? Xbox had Gears of War, Halo on PC, and then they stopped doing it. So it's like it's not like something that's never been done before.
Right.
So I feel like it can happen, and I think I'm a traditional guy, Mooch. I think it's beneficial for the consumer. For me, owning a PlayStation 5, because I say this all the time, if you give me a reason not to own a PlayStation, I'm not going to fucking own it, Mooch.
Right.
I'm not.
Same. I feel the exact same way.
So Blaze, no day and date? That ain't coming?
Listen,
no day and date?
Day and date is not coming. Clip it.
The only thing I would say to that, Blaze, to challenge it is, from the leaks, we kind of know how much some of these PC ports cost, and they're still profitable. So, like me, from like a business perspective, if I'm making money on something, why do I need to stop doing it? And remember, like most of the porting isn't done in-house anyway. Most of it is done by Nixxes.
Right.
They literally purchased a PC port studio. So it's like, as long as they're doing it and we're making additional revenue, there isn't really much of a need to stop doing it as well. Again, you could be right. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying financially, if you're going to make an extra 20, 50, 100 million, you might as well, right? That's still money on the table.
Absolutely. No, and it is money. I mean, other than, listen, I know live service might be the only thing that maybe they continue putting out there because, they want player numbers and stuff like that. And look, I could be totally wrong, right? But I just don't understand. When Demon Souls first got announced, they had the PC thing, then they removed it. It's just like games like Demon Souls, again, it makes so much sense. Souls games are exploding. I just don't understand. There's a whole demographic out there that hasn't played Demon Souls. Like, it makes too much. Like, why is that game not ported? It's just really odd to me.
That's true.
That's a good point. You know what I mean? Like, Erica, you know how big these games are. Like, these Souls games are exploding. People love From Software. How the hell is that game not on Steam? It just doesn't make sense to me.
It's wild. I mean, it goes with the same question of where the freak is Bloodborne? You just don't know, like, what's going on over there. But no, I think you're right. If the PS5 was selling behind PS4 and not doing well, I'd probably have a different tone about this. But because the PS5 is doing so well, I could see you being correct on this, Blaze. Like, they could run it back to where they're like, you know what? We're just going to keep these games coming out late, like a year later, 2 years later. They could keep doing that and still be fine. Like, they don't need to be day and date.
Who said they're still making a killing too? They might listen. As PlayStation guys, we're looking at these numbers like, what the hell? Horizon only sold X amount of, but it's still all profit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just it's a slippery slope. We always talk about that, Mooch. We always talk about it. But at the end of the day, I just feel like just look at Nintendo. They're not backing down. They're making their console. Like you want to play Switch games unless you want to play them illegally. You're gonna have to buy a Switch. And I say this all the time. I know people want like, oh no, it's Alex. They want to change their tone. But 6-7 years ago, Alex, on Weapon Wheel, you said console, exclusives matter, and I still think they matter. Yeah. They matter. 100%. They matter.
They definitely do. They definitely do.
Can I piggyback on what Blaze just said about Nintendo? It's interesting. We always talk about, not we, the pundits always talk about PlayStation's need to adapt their business model to some impending future, right? Where kids don't care what they play on. Like, yeah, no shit, kids don't care what they play on, because kids are only playing on what you afford them to play. Have that conversation with my son about Fortnite and ask him if he wants to play Fortnite on my PC or Nintendo Switch, and he's going to look at you and be like, PC all day, as he should. But you never have this conversation about Nintendo, and they're the most archaic company in the gaming industry, and they are printing money. They are printing money like no one's business, and they haven't changed much. What they did was they cannibalized, their handheld business. They incorporated their console handheld business to one device, which was brilliant. But they're still like, if you want to play Nintendo games, you need to come to us. There's value in exclusivity. This is why, and I brought up the shoe analogy. You want Air Jordans? Guess what? You got to go to Nike. People value that. You want Siri on Apple, which I don't recommend. You go get the iPhone, right? You want to watch Stranger Things? You go to Netflix. People, there's those exclusives create brand identity.
Yeah.
And companies capitalize off that and make a lot of money. And so this idea that exclusivity doesn't matter, or it's some kind of, thing of the past in gaming. I'm like, where else do we have this conversation?
Well, that's it, Brap. We say this.
Have exclusivity.
We say this all the time, and it's like, I understand in the gaming market, people, especially like this PC. I have a gaming PC. I understand. Put everything on the PC. We don't need to have anything. Well, that's not exactly the business model I think that they're talking about at PlayStation or at Nintendo. You know what I mean? Or at Sony.
Just because one company decides to be, just because one company, no disrespect, is getting their ass kicked and decides to go a different direction. Okay, now all of a sudden, with their, traditional ways, anti-consumer, that's ridiculous. It's always been this way. People value that. This is how it's always been. I don't know why people act like, they're fucking bozos now, and I don't know what they're talking about. Like, it's always brought that. Like, dude, I don't care what nobody says. Mooch, I want my damn exclusives, bro. And that goes for Nintendo. That goes
for Nintendo too. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I wanted to have an Xbox. It's sad as hell to see it, but it is what it is.
There is.
I was going to piggyback. To piggyback off of this, right? And this is, he's talking about exclusives. Brap was talking about what the market decided at the beginning of the generation, right? In 2020, what were the big exclusive releases, right? So in 2020, even before the PS5 dropped, you had Last of Us 2 sold 4 million in 3 days, right?
Yep.
4 freaking million in 3 days. Fastest selling PlayStation game ever, right? Then you had Ghost of Tsushima, also did really well. Went on to sell 7.9 million in roughly 2 years. Last of Us 2 went on to sell 10 million in just under 2 years. And then you had Miles Morales, charted almost for 2 years. It charted all the way through its release year, and then the year after as well. And then you had Demon Souls. It sold at 1.5 million or something, and then carried on selling. It also intermittently charted. So that is why the market decided on PlayStation. How the hell are you going to turn away like Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Dreams, Miles Morales?
Dreams, leave that one
Demon
out,
Souls. yeah, but I mean, the point is, like, these are all these are all cumulative. Like I always say, like if one game sells 10 million, the other game sells 10 million, the other game sells, I think Miles Morales is on 14 or 16 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Now you add those totals together, that's a massive number, right? Even Call of Duty on PlayStation sells between 16 and 21 million. Combine those sales together, you're talking like 30, 40, 50 million, right? Just across those games. So that is why the market is saying, no, we'll have this, thank you. Because it's those games, they're the differentiating factor. If Xbox, PlayStation plays basically the same games, then you need the exclusive to decide which one of the two you're going to get, because they are the differentiating source.
Yeah.
Hey, Mooch,
Go ahead, Deathsinger.
Go ahead, Deathsinger. Yeah, go ahead.
Counterpoint to what Blaze said, and this whole conversation. thing is, like, Nintendo isn't in Sony's position. Like, you look at how much does the typical PlayStation first-party AAA banger cost to make versus how much does a Nintendo game cost to make. But then Nintendo, because they lock it and their fan base is so loyal to them. I looked at the 9 games, the 9 highest selling games, all sold over 20 million. Right? Okay. Then you have like Animal Crossing, it's nearly at 50 million. You have Mario Kart, which is coming up to 70. Super Smash Bros. Is 35. Zelda's at 32. Like, bear in mind, they cost less than what a lot of these PlayStation games need to make. So Nintendo's in a different thing. I think with PlayStation, as I come back to what Hiroki Totoki said, because he is now the CEO at Sony, and he wants to aggressively improve profit margins. How are you going to do that? How are you going to improve because your PlayStation's going to do what PlayStation's going to do. So if you want to increase them even more, well, you got to find customers somewhere. So you have to go to those customers.
Right.
PC. So I don't think he'll pull from PC. I think they're still trying to figure out.
Yeah, but you also want to sell more consoles too, Dessinger, right? You also want people to spend money in the PlayStation store as well.
That's exactly that's what I say, Blaze, all the time. Is we have the evidence. We have the evidence, Dessinger, of what Xbox did. We have the blueprint. We saw what they did, and what they did is exactly what you said. And by the way, there's people in the chat that agree with you. That makes sense, and it makes a great argument on a podcast. But you can see that it literally alienated and it destroyed their console. So they made the money where you said they would, but they self-destructed internally on their own platform. Now, I don't know what that actually means in dividends and revenue for them at the bottom line, but what I was just talking to somebody in the chat about was, and I've been saying this for a long time on the show, is Sony's double dipping. They get you to buy the console, they get you to buy an extra couple of controllers, 2 headsets, right? You get a portal and a partridge in a pear tree. At the end of the day, you buy all of that. And then they put it on 12 months, 18 months later on PC, and they sell
buy it again.
And you buy it again. You get the hardcore to buy it again, and you get the new customers to buy it.
Here's the problem. I don't know. Here's the problem. They have a limited number of people they can sell to, right? Once a console passes the PS2 numbers, you have, like, PlayStation's biggest amount of user base was the PS2, right? That's the biggest amount of consumers they've ever had. Right? So if you can't beat that, you are not maximizing what you can do, right? Because if let's say the PlayStation 5 goes on to sell 140 million, right? You're still missing people. Like where you going to sell those games to now?
But we can't reinvent the DVD player, bro.
That?
You know?
No, we can't reinvent it. But here's the funny thing about that, Blaze. You bring up the DVD player, people won't credit PS2's success to that. They'll just say, "Oh, it was the games."
No, it was an excellent console with excellent exclusives and games.
It was, but the DVD player put the sales, above the mark.
Bro, think about it, that thing. PlayStation's always been cool. You've seen the marketing on the PS2 with the blue disc and a nice stand. Like, it's just always been the cool,
I did. I owned a PS2
thing, bro.
Yeah, I owned the PS2 and the PS3.
To the point you're making, though, right? And again, I'm going by the data, so don't kill me. I'm just telling you what Sony themselves are saying. The PlayStation 5 in 4 years, the generation, is more profitable than every single PlayStation generation combined.
Correct.
When you account for PS3 losses. Combined, yeah, because the PS3 was a loss. Okay. So when you take that into account, and it's actually in 4 years more profitable than the entirety of the PlayStation 4 generation. So to answer your question, right? Yeah, it's nuts. You don't actually need to increase your player base. What you need to increase is how much money you capitalize from them. And that is actually what iPhone and Apple and stuff is doing as well. Because iPhone sales actually plateaued a long time ago. And Samsung phones are plateauing too, because people don't need to upgrade phones as often, right? So what's happened is the price of the
market's in trouble.
The market's in trouble, yeah. So they up the prices of the devices, and PlayStation. What they're saying is where they're making the difference is microtransactions and engagement. So people are spending much more time in online games on Fortnite and Warzone and all these other things, and that MTX, which they get a 30% cut off, is massively increased their margins. And weirdly enough, even though the games are costing more, much more, they are actually making more money on them as well because of all the special editions and everything like that. Like Last of Us 2, which was really surprising to me, when based on the leaks, Last of Us 2 actually made more revenue in 2 years than Last of Us 1 made in like 6 years, which was shocking to me because it cost. And then when you if you can make more revenue in 2 years versus 7, yes, the game cost a lot more. I think it was 220 million, and Last of Us is 100 and something million. But it will make much more profit than Last of Us 1, even though it was a much more expensive game. Like it's still charting today because of the show and everything, and then you got the remaster. So again, like even if you spend more money, and even if you don't have as many consumers as you did in the PS2 gen, you can still make considerably more profit and money, even with a lower overall profit margin, because 7% of 31 billion is a lot more than 12% of 15 or 20 or whatever it is.
Hey, Nib. Yeah, real quick. I'm sorry, Nib. To your point, this is what people don't understand. What you just described, Nib, is common in any market where any consumer market that's mature, right? You hit a plateau point where you're not going to grow. And I think we're seeing this in the phone market, right? And you figure out ways to monetize your existing customers, right? To monetize, you're squeezing more pennies out of them. It's not uncommon, happens, and I don't think people realize it. People probably participate in markets that are mature where they're getting squeezed and they're spending more pennies. This is what, to your point, is what PlayStation is doing. It's why they sell the headsets, the controllers, the special edition, day one game, whatever. I mean, they're just
Portal, DualSense Edge, VR. Like, there's all these things.
I mean, like
I didn't know it was more popular combined. So that's combined. See, I thought it was
more
just
popular,
the most profitable system.
Profitable,
no,
right?
More profit than every single generation combined.
Okay,
when
see, I thought it was
for,
just okay. I got you.
Yeah,
which is just crazy. Nib, think about that for a second, right? Like they have figured out how to monetize their existing consumers, squeeze more money out of them to make it more profitable. Any PlayStation generation. Think about how many the PlayStation 2 is it the number one selling console of all time?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And think about
it wasn't very profitable though. It wasn't very profitable.
Yeah,
once you do
I was gonna say, what this immediately makes me think of is we're in the Fortnite age right now, like microtransactions like crazy. So for me, like when I think of exclusives, an exclusive like Spider-Man, for example, can get someone into the ecosystem, and then now they're choosing to play their Fortnite there or the Call of Duty or whatever. And that's really what makes them important, because I see people in the chat kind of arguing about exclusives and that they're dead or they don't matter. And, we always hear that argument, but really one exclusive can get somebody forever. Like when I was on the Xbox 360, The Last of Us got me on PS3.
Yeah.
One game got me over there, and I've been over there since.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One game got Xbox into the game. Halo.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If Halo was everywhere, where would they be now?
There would be no Xbox.
Exactly.
And I was going to say one more point. I always say this, like, when you talk about how much an exclusive costs, people always make this mistake. They're like, it costs 300 million. Spider-Man 2 costs 300 million. How are they going to make the profit? But you're looking at it the wrong way. This is a long-term investment, right? They're not spending 300 million on Spider-Man 2 because they want to sell X number of copies. They're also doing it because they want it to bring people to the ecosystem, and then they make 30% from them for the rest of their entire, time they own the console. So the return on investment is completely different for an exclusive.
And plus, they're selling this for $70 a pop. People act like they're not. If you think they're not making profit on these games, you guys are delusional, bro.
Exactly.
And I want to say this about Death Singer, because he's like, he made a good point. Like, hey, 150 million users, they're gone now. But like Jackknife said in the chat, there was no microtransactions on a PS2. Even the PS3. You know what I mean? Like, it's an explosion, Death Singer. Now it's just like.
You can. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, you can go. You play Call of Duty. You go ahead and you f around and spend $100. You know what I mean? You stop buying skins, doing this. Like, it's just easily, dude.
Yeah.
But then again, that's That's why this gen makes sense that it's more profitable. Because the PS2 had the highest number of sold, but they didn't have Fortnite. They didn't have GTA 5. They didn't have Call of Duty like what we have it now. Back then you had like Call of Duty Big Red One. Offline Call of Duty. Anyone remember Call of Duty when there was no online?
Yeah.
It's like so.
I loved it, dude.
It's a completely different time and place. But But the thing is, it's like you make more money now. I just see them. It's Hiroki even said. I go back to his statement because it's true. It's like initially we wanted first-party titles to make our console more popular. You've done that spectacularly. But then he also said there's a synergy to it. If we're doing super, super well over here, we could do super, super well over here on PC, and it'll increase our profit margins. So I think he's going, Xbox is no longer in the conversation. They probably don't give a shit. They're getting all their games. So PlayStation's like, okay, we'll just keep putting games on PC. It's free money. Well, it's not free money. There's a cost to the port, but it's, insignificant in terms. So, I mean...
Free profit, yeah.
It's free profit. So I just think they'll do it. I don't think they'll pull away from PC. I think, if anything, they'll go a bit harder with PC.
So wait, you could be right, Dustin. You could be right.
I've got a couple of super chats here, but then that kind of leads to another.
Mooch, I'm sorry. Can I ask Dib a question?
Go ahead.
Dib, what's more important, MAU or ARPU?
ARPU, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
I knew what you would say. But there's people
anyone in business
talking about MAU, and I'm like, guys, it's not about MAU, it's about ARPU.
It's not. It's not about just in case anyone doesn't know, average revenue per user, right? So it's like, would you rather have 50 people that spend $1,000 or 100 people that spend 10? So obviously you will always go with the maximum amount of revenue. Which
I appreciate you saying what the acronym was. A lot of people were like, "What in the world is Brap talking about?"
So,
what I mean? Rightfully so. Brap coming out here with his MBA, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
So to put it into context, like PlayStation make 30 odd billion revenue from what is their MAU is 119 or 20 million or something like that, whereas Xbox now their MAU is 500 plus million, but they're making PlayStation actually still makes 68% more revenue even than ABK and Xbox combined. So even you can have 500, you can have 1,000, 500,000 whatever users, but if they're not all spending money, because a lot of that is like Candy Crush users, mobile users, and they're not really investing much money, they just have high numbers of users, which doesn't translate into more money made necessarily.
Just to come full circle, Nib, real quick, because I think this is, I had this as a completely different subject, but it really kind of explains the power of what exclusives have really built for PlayStation and for Nintendo, for that fact. So they took the exclusives so serious, they take the console so serious, that you have Xbox, right, which everybody's arguing with, saying, oh, wait, this panel's not right. Exclusives, they don't matter. You should be on PC day and date. You have a situation right now where Xbox went out and spent basically $8 billion on ZeniMax. And now Indiana Jones is the number one pre-order hit on PlayStation. And people go, oh, that's just PlayStation people wanting to play Xbox games. I'd slow that down a bit. This is a team that was literally 4 years ago, right? I think they were acquired in September of 2020, roughly, if my memory serves right. They were a multi-plat company, right? So Microsoft goes and buys them. Hey, we're going to try to do this whole thing exclusive, see if we can get Game Pass. It didn't work because they didn't take the console serious enough. They didn't take their exclusive serious enough. If you look at after Sea of Thieves, what was their next big hit after Sea of Thieves? It was like Starfield, right? I mean, what did they really have that was a new IP after that? I don't know if I think Redfall came out before, but we're not going to count that. You have a situation that Sony, right? So I'm talking about new IP. But what I'm saying to you is this mattered so much with the PlayStation to build up the name, the recognition, the first party exclusives. They built such an empire that now Xbox is like, we want to put our games over there. And they're doing well. So, I mean, when people say that Xbox didn't need to do this and PlayStation doesn't need to do this, if Xbox actually stuck to their guns, and like you were saying, Erica, I know you were a big Gears head, still are, but that got you over to 360. Were you playing
It takes one
Gears?
game.
Right. It's one game.
One game. That's it.
So my point is so Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, right? And you've got, I think it's Forza Horizon 5 topping the charts over on PlayStation. Like, that just shows to show you how important the console, Microsoft wants that money. They want the money over there too. And they could have actually had that all on their console. They could have blew up the Xbox Series X. They had all the media push in the world when this generation started. Brap, you remember, we were talking about this every week on the show. I mean, it was everything. It was Game Pass. You can get into the Xbox ecosystem at $2.99 with the Series X. You can get in there for, at the time, I think it was $10 a month for Game Pass. Then it went up to $16. Dollar deal too.
Yeah,
right?
Remember dollar deal, Oreo cookies? I mean, like it was the full gambit of the Doritos.
But that's the power of the console. That's the power that exclusives do hold. It made Sony such a platform holder that Microsoft's like, listen, it isn't working over here. We got to go over there.
There was a point where I think I paid $1 for Game Pass Ultimate for like 2 years straight. Like every time it was crazy. I'm like, yo, when do they get how are they making money? Like what the fuck? It was crazy, bro.
Blaze, people just stacked. I mean, I think Mooch stacked 5 years.
I had 3. I had the max. I think the max was. I thought the max was 36. I thought it was 36 months.
Yeah, but you could do it again. I did it twice.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just think they expected growth of active users or subscribers to explode, and it just kind of plateaued.
They did actually. I think that may have been in the leaked documents. I think, or the that they thought they were going to have more, and it just didn't pan out. And what's interesting about Game Pass too, this is the thing that, again, I was the pundits are always like, oh, it's interesting with Xbox. The pundits are always like, oh well, watch this. This is going to be the next big thing, and then it doesn't happen. And then it's like, oh wait, this is going to be the next big thing. It doesn't happen. Remember, Call of Duty is going to be game changer for Game Pass, and then look at Call of Duty's impact to Game Pass.
Rap, you know what else I was getting sick of this generation? I was getting so sick of 150 people shot a battle rifle. 300, it's like, dude, can we get some fucking raw numbers, bro?
Just put a number out there.
But Blaze,
it's been gone for a minute.
Blaze, they give you raw numbers when a game sells well. We saw that with Avowed.
Yep, bingo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know they mentioned that for
I didn't think they mentioned Avowed.
Yeah, they talked about like it's sales.
Did they? I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Maybe I don't know. I have to go back. Brap is getting older, but I'm pretty sure the numbers they gave for Avowed weren't the 100 million people waved their wand in the air. It wasn't like that. It was actually a little more specific, like top selling game on Steam. It wasn't like 30 million people farted in the water. Like, it wasn't like that.
Well, they were like 25,000 sandwiches were balanced on the ship in Starfield. Yeah, we saw all that. Yeah.
I remember they did that for Sea of Thieves for a while. We were hearing these random stats, and I was just like, huh? Like, it's so crazy. We haven't had raw numbers in a minute.
Leg.
No, and listen.
Actually, I think they didn't report. I think they reported just player count or sales
player count.
Oh, no. They did sales numbers. Apparently, according to this, how many people are playing the game?
Yeah,
which game?
They did.
I think they said across
Game
Pass.
Yeah, they gave a player. They gave a player count, but I don't think they did sales numbers, right?
But I mean, wouldn't that count somebody just firing it up and then turning it off after 5 minutes? I mean, we never really know who's truly playing it.
Right.
That's a great point.
Right.
Yeah. It's like we don't know. Like, is the metric is the KPI based on do you turn it on and watch the first 2 minutes of the game? Right. I mean, like we just don't know.
It does. It influences the numbers greatly. Like if you want to compare like achievements, for example, like Lies of P on Game Pass. Oh, sorry, my son. I'll be back.
No,
what she's trying to say is nobody's being Lies of P on Xbox. You good, brother?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was about to say that.
I mean, a lot of people aren't finishing it anyway, but I don't know. I just think it's they always go with monthly active users. It is gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, they ain't gonna reveal sales. Like, they'll never tell you the official sales of Xbox.
But the thing is, we have other data. So like, I keep bringing up data, but it's just stuck in my bloody head. This is the AI part of me, right? Speaking. So you brought up Starfield, and you brought up Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves didn't actually chart in the year to date, Sakana. So it's like the annual sales, the top 20, right? So outside of Starfield, the last game to do it for Xbox, I think, was in 2016, Gears of War 4, right? So that's how long they've gone without a year-to-date game charting. Not Forza Horizon 5 even charted year-to-date, and neither did Halo. Yes, those games released late, but historically they've always still charted. They didn't even chart in the year-to-date.
Wow.
Conversely, so think like the last 8 or 10 years, whatever it is, like they had one game or two, if you count Gears of War 4, that charted in Sakana year-to-date. PlayStation has had over 20. I think it's 22 now. When I did my tweet, it was quite a while ago, so it's probably changed now. But and then Nintendo has had 33. So in the time the Xbox has had 2 games chart year to date, PlayStation has had over 20 and Nintendo over 33. That is the difference. So when you talk about like exclusives don't matter, you have to pull back and recalibrate. They don't matter so much for Xbox because they're not really selling over there, which is why they did Game Pass to begin with and why they're transitioning to a multi-platform strategy to begin with, but they are selling on Xbox, on PlayStation and Nintendo. And again, it's not me saying it as a matter of opinion. I'm going by the facts and the data.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. And on that note, Mooch, I actually got to get going, Mooch. I got to get my kids to bed.
So. Well, I appreciate Brap stopping by. I do appreciate that, Brap. I'm glad you were able to swing by, buddy. I got a couple. I got a couple super chats here. Brap, thank you. I do appreciate it. So shout out to Sheffield Sphere. Of course, he's joking here. He says, it's time we loaded up the double barrel and took Xbox in the back. Shout out to Sheffield. Shout out to Blaze 4K on the panel. Says, hit that like button. Blaze is right. Please, guys, I don't say it enough during the show. Please do hit that like button. We had over 400 just a second ago. Great to have all these people here on this weekend. As we enter the weekend, pardon me. Liquid to us says, as long as Microsoft is making a box, Sony sees them as opposition. Now, but these are a few older when we were talking about the Steam box and Xbox. Shout out to Liquid today. He comes back and says, Sony's whole purpose for putting games on a PC is to try to get some folks to play on PlayStation. It's more about strategy and less about money. They don't even do big numbers on PC. So, a lot of people, shout out to Liquid for saying that, guys, because we've seen that on X. We've seen that in articles. We've seen people say that, and it's an easy thing to dismiss, right? It's an easy, Death Singer dismisses it weekly. Like, no way you're getting PC people to go back onto a console. That is not necessarily true. And Erica proved it, Blaze proved it, Brap proved it with one game. If it's exclusive and it's going to be there for a year or 2 years, could make some. Does it mean they're going to go buy a PS5 Pro at $700? Maybe not. But they might go buy a Slim if they can get it at $450 or on sale or the holiday. So there is a possibility of that. And I think Liquid makes a point. He says, I don't go to Burger King to get a Big Mac. That's the truth. Divinity Rock says people need to realize some games would not exist, if it wasn't for exclusives. And so that's kind of a loaded comment. I do think there's some truth to that. I don't have an example that springs to mind, like what games would not exist. But the thing is if you sit there and say you like games like back in the day, Gears of War, Halo, or it's The Last of Us, or if you liked Uncharted, or if you like Ghost of Tsushima, like those games doing well constitutes Sony making more money, which makes you more games from those studios you do in fact love.
And which I think he means like, remember Bayonetta was a multi-plat, and then Bayonetta 2 wouldn't have been made without Nintendo's
backing.
Wallet.
Yes.
Or
okay. Good point. Thank you for the example.
Shuhei Yoshida finding Shift Up, right? And actually listening to the feedback of Stellar Blade and saying, we should invest in these guys.
What about, shout out to Pacey Games, he says Saros. And that's true, right? Didn't we see how Smart came out and said that? If it wasn't for Sony, wouldn't be able to do this. They wouldn't have been able, right?
I can't wait for that game. Oh my God.
That game's going to be awesome.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, they need budget to make the game. So it makes sense. You'll go out and help, and in exchange, you make it exclusive. I mean, that's something all of them have done.
Helldivers 2 is not actually, because like even Ninja Gaiden 4, I'd imagine this is the same because they're publishing it. So I think some people think when you publish a game like Helldivers 2, you're just assisting in the development. They're not. They are fully funding not just the development of the game, but all the marketing and everything. So it's like 100% of the funding is on PlayStation. Therefore, that game would not be made without PlayStation. Obviously, PlayStation owns the IP, and that's kind of the transaction here. They're saying, we'll front everything, but we keep the IP, and you get a royalty cut, and we keep the rest. And that's why people do it, because obviously, if you're a studio of 100 people, like not many people are going to give you, 7 years and 50 million or 80 million or whatever it is to cost cost to make that game to make a game, and because they do that, that is why. So yeah, publishing usually is much deeper than that. Though I think like with Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade, it's slightly different because they maintain the IP ownership, if I remember correctly. It's still, at least with Rise of Ronin, it still belongs to the Koei Tecmo.
You know, it's funny. So earlier in the show, Blaze, you made a point. You know, it's good to always buy, you know, all the consoles. And shout out to Treybone. Me and Trey were trying to go back and forth in the chat. And I said, Trey, the best thing for you to do, not all at once, is to own the consoles and enjoy all the games. He says, you know, Mooch, he goes, I know, pardon me, I'm one step behind here because it refreshed. Maybe I don't want to have to buy every console to play my games. This is the mindset that Xbox kind of put out there, right? Like, but
exclusives are bad now.
But Erica, right? Erica, how realistic is this? Like Brap, I wish Brap was still here. One of the things that Brap always says is he goes, "This is the only industry where we have this kind of conceptual thought." Like, I don't understand. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't walk into.
Do you mean exclusives being bad? Like that idea?
Meaning
is that what you mean?
Yeah, being bad in the sense that you should be able to buy one box. Whether it be a PC, no matter what it is, right? It doesn't matter. I'm trying to leave the name out. Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Buy one box, Erica, and everything is there. Why is it you can't go buy AT&T service in a Verizon store? I mean, why not, right? I mean, they're all using and sharing towers anyway, Erica, right? I mean, we don't say that, you know? I mean, the Ford dealership is 4 miles away from the Toyota dealership. Why don't they just merge, Erica? Why do I have to?
This
right?
whole exclusive.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to me because I feel like with some of these gamers, you know, fanboys and stuff, if Xbox says it's bad, now it's bad. Like, if Xbox is not going to have exclusives, okay, now they're anti-consumer. That's what they're going with. They're just going with what Xbox is doing and trying to justify it and move the goalpost, as they say. Because if you ask any one of them what made them get an Xbox, they're going to tell you Halo or Gears or Forza or something. And they know it. So it's just funny to me that now it's like, that's bad now. And it's really just because, you know, they're probably more so leaning towards the Xbox side of like being a fanboy. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
I want to go on a rant that's going to get me clipped, but clip me. I don't give a shit.
Hey, Astro, clip us.
Yeah, I will say straight up, I believe that exclusives are pro-consumer, and I'll explain, right? Pro-consumer for the consumers that value quality above accessibility, right? When you say like, oh, games should be available anywhere at the cost of development focus and curation and design from the ground up for one specific hardware, which entails massive benefits, as developers keep telling us, right? It's not a coincidence that, you know, 52 of the top 100 highest rated games are exclusives or were exclusives at one point, even though they constitute less than 5% of the total number of releases. It is not a coincidence that 77% of the top 5 most prestigious tech awards given out over the last decade have gone to an exclusive, right? Again, there's exclusive benefits to hardware design. So when people say like they should be available everywhere at the cost of development or quality or whatever else, that's like saying, okay, then make the lowest common denominator mobile, right? Release your games on mobile and Switch and Xbox and PS5, quality and optimization, curation be damned. Just let everyone play everything. But the reason we don't do that is because we want a certain level of quality, right? And that transitions into exclusives as well. And it's a similar thing with cross-generation games, right? Yes, if cross-generation stayed, it would benefit more consumers, right? As in more accessibility. But the reason we don't and have not historically liked cross-generation, or at least like me since I've been in gaming, is because I want the maximum executable optimization and design for the new hardware that I bought. I don't want to be held back by PS4. I want games designed from the ground up for PS5. So that, again, to me, when they make a PS5 only game, because I value quality and not accessibility, to me, it is a pro-consumer move. Someone else who can't afford a PS5 may say that's anti-consumer. I want all PlayStation games going forward for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years to be also released on PS4. Fine, because you value accessibility and you don't have the money. But for someone like me who bought the PS5, who bought a Series X, I want games made from the ground up for my system to get the maximum quality and design and focus, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, that is pro-consumer. I am a consumer who benefits from that as someone who owns those systems, and I will die on that hill. I've always been that. It's never going to change. And same way, I don't.
We're all consumers, and we all value different things. So something that's pro-consumer to me will be anti-consumer to someone else.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
Well, whether something is pro or anti-consumer is down to the individual. There isn't a catch-all term, because every single one of us is a consumer.
That's why I think it's not anti-consumer, right? Because something is anti-consumer is inherently a negative for all consumers, right? Generally, right? But I think what's happening now is like this younger generation, or maybe it's just the new TikTok generation. They co-opt these words that they don't really understand, and the way they define anti-consumer is just something that doesn't suit me personally. It's very me self-centric orientated. Okay, but me, I prefer it there being that way because it benefits me and my hardware. Mm-hmm. So those things where there's like digression and diversion about what is and isn't, they're not really anti-consumer. That's just capitalism, right? Otherwise, all of business is anti-consumer. Netflix having their own exclusives is anti-consumer. Amazon having their own exclusives is anti-consumer. But that's actually just business. You will always do things to benefit your own ecosystem, platform, service, or whatever. There's nothing anti-consumer about that. So yeah, maybe some people will lose out, the people who can't afford a PS5 or who can't afford, the cross-gen, whatever, but other people will benefit. That's always just been how business works and how the industry has worked for generations.
And I know we blame it on Xbox about that, but it's a PC thing too, because PC, it's like, if you want to play Assassin's Creed with a Wii U controller, you know what I mean? There's a way to, you know what I mean? So like, it's an open platform. So I feel like you see what's going on, bro. These dudes cried about our email, but guess what? When Grand Theft Auto comes to PC, they're going to sign right in, have no fucking problem, and enjoy the game.
That's so true. That's so true.
And like everything on PC requires an email now, like EA games or Ubisoft games. It's just, I think the PC platform, that being an open platform, like breaks all the rules. Like you want to play an Xbox game with a DualSense, you can do it. And I think that's where you get that whole anti-consumer thing. Like, oh, I should be able to play any, this game on my PC. Like it should, you know what I mean? But I don't know. It's just consumers like at the end of the day are gonna do what they want, and at the end of the day, my PS5, like you said, Nib, when I bought it, if I knew Demon Souls was on PS4, that would piss me off. It would piss me off.
It annoyed me that God of War Ragnarok was on PS4. It annoyed me that Horizon Forbidden West was on PS4, because imagine what those games could have been if they weren't on PS4. Just think God of War, right? With like your teleportation and all the rest of it. I'm sorry for people who haven't played Ragnarok, but there's basically like time traveling and dimension traveling, but they can't do it because of the hardware, right? Yep. We're inherently held back by the hard drive streaming speed. Like on PS4, because it's only 100 megabytes a second, you cannot load entire new worlds in a few seconds. It's going to take you like 20, 30, 40 seconds or whatever to load a new area. So whereas like in God of War, say I'm fighting a boss and he smacks me in the face, and in 1 second I'm in a mountain and the next second I'm in a desert, you can do that on the PS4. You can't do that on the PS5. You can't do that on the PS4.
And they take a lot of credit from the PS5 too. Like I always say this, if Horizon and God of War were just, if Sony decided to make those PS5 exclusives, even if they were built for the PS4, but they made them PS5, that's they pull a lot of credit from the PS5 saying, that you can play that on a PS4. That's not really an exclusive. That's not a next gen game. You know what I mean? I just feel like, I don't.
No, but it doesn't. But think about it, Blaze, and we all said. But Detzinger, let me ask you a question with what Blaze was just saying. Right, so you just got a 5070. That is as new as it gets. You just got it, right? Does that mean that somebody who's playing Mafia: The Old Country that comes out this summer and they're playing it on a 2080 Ti, does that mean that that's not a new game? That's not a next gen game? Like that's the thing. Like they weren't going to ignore the last gen. That doesn't mean that it's not still a great game that doesn't look better on a PS5. That game played better, looked better on a PS5 than it did on a PS4. right? And these games are going to look better on your 5070 than a 2080 Ti or 2070 Super, right? So my point being with that is like I'm just trying to kind of correlate with what you're saying. Like that's the whole argument there where people say, well, that's not a true PS5 game. Why is it not? Why is it not?
I mean,
right.
The thing is, yeah, okay, the game, I'd run the game better, but then again, PC's different because each person's hardware and their PC rig is completely different. Like, I could go down the street to check out everyone's PC on my street right now if they have a gaming PC.
Right.
And I guarantee you most of them will have completely different shit to what I got.
Absolutely.
Like, some people could be different CPUs, different GPUs, different RAMs, different motherboards, the whole shebang, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can only game for what me. So, yes, does it make me self-centered? Do I want all the games on PC? PlayStation, Nintendo, I want you to release all the games on there because, I want to look after me.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the thing, but then I don't know. It's the whole exclusive thing. It's just down to the individual. Do you think exclusives are anti-consumer? Then go for it. That's your opinion. Opinion are like assholes. Everyone has one. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, unless you're lucky and you don't have an asshole.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
lucky.
Well,
by the way, we know.
Is that lucky?
We know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Eric. I don't know if that's necessarily lucky.
I said unlucky. I said unlucky.
Yeah, what do you?
I said unlucky.
Out of
No.
I hope you got
where that food gonna go?
Hope you got a good doctor.
I was going to say we also know, as a matter of fact, right, that being PS5 only does benefit game design. So the developers of Spider-Man 2 told us that the velocity of travel would not be as high. He wouldn't have the flying type abilities and stuff at that fidelity if it was a PS4 game, because the streaming is so demanding. We also know, for example, with Burning Shores, the reason that DLC was PS5 only is because to have the cloud system to be able to fly all the way in the air and then right back down, and to have the amount of density and draw distance and all the rest, and with all of that stuff and full flight, they couldn't do it on a PS4. So it has been a thing for generations. We've always known that cross-gen holds things back. The only time it changed again, and it's so frustrating, was when Phil Spencer said, oh, the cross-gen holding things back thing is more of a meme. His exact words were, it's kind of a meme. But that's a lie. It's not true. Developers have been telling us for generations how older hardware holds things back. And I feel like it's kind of that happening all over again, but with exclusives.
Yeah, I get a couple of super chats here that kind of ride along with that. Shout out to Liquid Today's back. He just had a thought. Microtransactions have always existed. I don't know how old everyone is, but what would you call an arcade in the mall back in the day? All right, it's well, there you go, Liquid. Now you're showing your age, buddy. So I don't know. I know where you're going with that. That's a great example, but it's funny. Mr. Grimm says, okay, I don't care. He goes, I'm going to say it. Anyone who says exclusive doesn't matter are either salty bots or an insecure PCMR guy. Let's be real about it. Well, Mr. Grimm, the thing is I understand if you come into this generation, especially new gamers, right, that are coming into gaming now, and listen, the whole thing with PC gaming is the craze, right? It is what it is. Whether you go on Twitch or you go on YouTube game streaming, a lot of people are gaming your favorite games that they're watching on PC. So they get the PC, and the things that Death Singer is saying and a lot of other people, I do understand where the thought comes from. I really, really do. And sure, I mean, it's like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie Bruce Almighty. It's like, if everybody can hit everybody plays the lotto when it hits that high 800, 900 million right in your local area, or if it's Mega Millions, and you go to bed that night, you're like, I really, really hope I win. But if everybody hit, you'd all win like $17. You know what I mean? So, we all wish in one hand and you know what in the other. But the point of the matter is that this doesn't exist in business. Business doesn't work that way. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I understand your desire, but it's just not realistic. Rambling says, reminder, PlayStation didn't block their games on Steam Deck. Rambling, that's what also Blaze said earlier when he was making that point. My only counter to that is that I don't, and Death Singer, do you have the number handy? We talked about this 2 weeks ago on the show. How many units did they sell? I think they said they sold like 3 million out the gate. They're somewhere around 4 million
lifetime sales of the
Steam Deck.
I thought it was 3.
I thought it was 3 or 4 million.
Well, Mooch, are you saying because they didn't? The product doesn't sell well. They don't have a lot of units. So
that they don't care. I think it bothers them. Well, I think it bothers. I think it bothers. Well, I think that bothers them less. I don't know if it doesn't bother them, but I'm going to say it's to the point that it's inconsequential. 36 million consoles out there, Blaze, think about it. They're at what right now? 75 million on the PS5? I mean, come on. That's, you know what I mean? If Xbox is at 35, that's half. That's a different chunk of change. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's nothing, but 3 or 4 million, that they're not looking at that as competition. But Xbox, you throw out Xbox, think about this. The average consumer is not listening to IGN. They don't know who VGC is. They don't know what this is. They don't know what that. They don't have their ear to the ground with that. Rightfully so. They have different hobbies. They love gaming, but they play like Fortnite, or they play maybe just a Gears game, or they play just The Last of Us. If they see Xbox logo on a box, and then the word gets out that you could play your PlayStation games on it, listen, maybe Sony doesn't care. I'm just saying, I think they might.
One thing I find interesting about the Steam Deck thing is I remember, I was just looking this up, that Shuhei Yoshida had posted a picture on Twitter of him holding a Steam Deck in 2022, okay, pre-retirement, with God of War running on the Steam Deck. And I think that was, I don't remember when it was, no, I'm sorry, that's basically all I had to say. That they didn't mind to that level for Steam.
And maybe Blaze is right. Maybe but Kofi, maybe they don't care. And listen, that's fine. Yeah. At this point, do I think it's detrimental to PlayStation if Steam games, like we were saying, that you could play a PlayStation game that came out on PlayStation 12 or 18 or 24 months before? They already squeezed everything out of the box that they were going to get. If you were
they got their work, like, bro, just look at it like in the drug sense, like, bro, they got their product, like, and they're selling it on their own block, like,
that's right.
What's competition, bro?
No, you're not wrong in that, and that's the same thing. Deathsinger has said, we've said multiple times now that there's a game coming out, and Deathsinger goes, yeah, I definitely want to play that PlayStation game. I'll get it when it comes to PC. He's okay waiting. So you're right. PlayStation, people who don't want to wait, they go buy the console, they play the game day one, and if you want to wait on PC or you want to play it on the Xbox Steam box 18 months from now, then that's, brother, like you said, it's fine. It's not a problem.
Who owns a PS5 and would wait for whatever Interstellar? I don't know anybody that owns a PS5 that's gonna wait.
No, exactly. Nobody. No, that's exactly it.
We don't wait. But, that's why we have the PS5.
One of the greatest
films
of all time.
We're not waiting.
Exactly. That's an amazing film. So
I meant to say Intergalactic.
That's okay.
Yeah. I was going to correct you. I was like, oh, yeah, we know what you mean.
Interstellar's phenomenal, though.
Yes,
hey, shout out to Aaron.
That movie changed your life. Watch it.
Aaron, shout out to Aaron in the chat. He goes, now ponies are coping like Xbox guys used to. The cycle continues.
Is that Aaron?
Yes,
Aaron?
That's Aaron _
fanboy?
Yes. Yes. So
shout out to Aaron.
Aaron, if you listen to what Blaze and I were just saying, and then what the panel kind of chimed in at, it's not coping at all. What they're saying is basically, if you want to wait a year or two to play a game, that's always been your prerogative. I don't know anybody
that PC master weight. That's why I call him that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're okay with that, that's fine.
Ragnarok come out, and the PS5 is the better version of Ragnarok, not because the PC's not capable, because of the port.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They missed something. You guys remember seeing those comparisons? It's just like, I don't know.
You never know with the ports. Like they're hit or miss at times. So.
Right.
Yeah.
If you wait and it's a bad port, I mean,
exactly.
Good luck with that.
And I was going to say, like, the Last of Us 1 port was tragic on the PC, but Last of Us 2 remastered, where like a lot of these games, like the PlayStation stuff, doesn't always. Sometimes they do. Like Returnal was quite a good improvement, but sometimes it's really very fractional differences. Like I always think, okay, right, there's a 2-year wait for that. Like, and to Aaron, who said, look, it's perfectly fine. If you don't want to wait, you can wait. If you do want to wait. But you know, like where he said, Intergalactic is not a day one game. Well, how are you making that conclusion already? We don't, like, you haven't seen the gameplay. You don't know how it's reviewed. You don't know what the reception is. Like, maybe it's going to be another phenomenal, game of the generation type hit, and then maybe you may want to play it day one. Like it's too soon to say with that game.
Well, also you have to remember with PC, like the vast majority of people who game on PC aren't even on Steam. They like, people say, people wait. That's like a joke. In reality, most PC gamers don't wait for shit, because you take like League of Legends, 145 million monthly active people log into the game, right?
Right.
So that's 145 million people. Valorant is at 45 million. CSGO is whatever it's doing. Like, these are games that people will buy a PC just to play League of Legends. That they will do that because it's the only place you can play the game, right? Hey, it's a PC exclusive. How about that? But so it's just going to be what it's going to be. So yeah, sure, I'll wait because there's only a few select games. It doesn't make sense for me to own a PlayStation because I'm not going to play a lot of the games that come there. It doesn't make sense.
Xbox. I don't expect you to own a PlayStation.
Well, why would I own an Xbox? Seriously,
we're all trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Look, but what kind? I mean, I bought the Series S just so I could play Destiny 2, and then as soon as Destiny 2 was crossplay,
went to PC,
yeah, as soon as it was crossplay, I got rid of that Xbox as soon as I could, and I was like, beautiful. That's the only reason I owned a Series S was to play Destiny 2. That's it.
I will say, Destinger, the more I've gotten to know your gaming tastes on this podcast, I get it because there is this thing with PlayStation fans where it's like, oh, everyone needs to love friggin' PlayStation. No, some people aren't actually going to be into those games.
Yeah, I get
that. Some people do not like cinematic movie-like games, or they don't want some people have ADHD. They don't want to sit through cutscenes and listen to emotional storytelling. Some people just want shoot, bang, bang. Right? I'm not saying Death Singer is one of them. Death Singer seems to like strategy games. Top down, a bit more RPG, detail oriented, whatever. I do think more of PlayStation games are moving in that direction, and I actually think Intergalactic is probably going to incorporate a lot of that stuff.
You mean Interstellar?
Interstellar. But that's a whole different conversation. But I get it, and I've spoken to people who, for example, are fans of Xbox, and outside of being fanboys, they have articulated why they like that platform in a good way. They like their multiplayer games, their Halo, their Gears of War, whatever. It's what they grew up with or whatever. So I get that. If you're a fan of a platform because of the games, salute to you, right? If you're a fan of a platform because of the platform or because of the brand, no, you're doing it wrong, mate. We should only invest and be fans of the products that we buy because they're great products or because they appeal to us, right? So Death Singer, I get it. I get why he doesn't have the PS5, but I do think as time goes on, the games are going to be more and more suited to his taste.
If they make the games, I've always said that. If they make the games that appeal to me, I'll buy it. But until that happens, why would I? I look at my most played multiplayer games, Age of Empires 2. Don't talk about the console version. You don't want to play that nonsense. It's a dumbed down water trash. Okay, right. So forget about that. League of Legends. I can only play these games realistically on my PC, and then I play whatever games in between. So it's that's more my lane. Everyone knows I really love RPGs, and most of the JRPGs and stuff aren't exclusive to PlayStation. A lot, Lost Soul aside, I was like, oh, that looks really good. Oh, it's coming to PC day one. Beautiful.
Right.
So
what about Intergalactic though? I mean, I know we've seen very little, so it's not fair for you to actually say you love it or you don't yet. But I mean,
he ain't playing that shit, bro. No, like a mobile game, he ain't playing.
No, the thing is,
he wants the top down.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, it's going off what Neil Cuckman does.
No. You mean
Neil Druckmann slander today?
You mean Emmy award winning Neil? Go ahead. Yes. Please.
Yeah, Emmy award. The thing is, based on what Naughty Dog they did, The Last of Us and Uncharted, I think Intergalactic's going to be more of that kind of game. So I'm not going to be interested in it. So I have to wait and see if it. I have to wait and see if it's more Witcher 3. Or if it's more something like The Last of Us, right? Because if it's more Witcher 3, I can get jiggy with it. But if it's more like The Last of Us, I'll pass. I'm
going to go out on a limb and say I think it's going to be more mechanics heavy, more open and broader in the exploration and everything.
Yes.
And we'll probably have more integrated RPG stuff. And the reason I say that is because because there's kind of been rumored already, and two, you can kind of see they tested the waters. They're testing the waters on this open-ended stuff. Uncharted 4 with Madagascar, and I can't remember, there was one other area, really broad Scotland, I think, really broad, big open levels. And then Last of Us 2, it had that whole is it Seattle? I think it's Seattle. Yeah, Seattle. Seattle section, and again, you use the map, it's fully open, and you have side quests and things you can do, blah blah blah. I think they are working towards that type of design, and I know that Neil Druckmann said something about he loves the open-ended design of Elden Ring.
Yes.
And the kind of the non-linear exploration side. So I think they're gonna, again, I could be fully wrong, but I have a feeling that they are gonna trend towards that direction.
This is not Go ahead, Blaze.
We can all hate Neil Druckmann for, and everybody wants to say, he puts a bitch with a bald head and a tattoo sleeve. That's his thing. But look, at the end of the day, that guy's made some of the best games, period.
That's what I said.
Some of the most visceral combat I've ever seen in games. Some of the most, attention to detail. I mean, people what do you want to pick your poison? Rockstar, Naughty Dog? Like, I'm just saying, bro. Like, you can hate the direction of games or story narratives, but at the end of the day, the guy's super talented.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Blaze. And honestly, I know this is like predicting tomorrow will come, but you watch, Intergalactic is definitely going to be. If it's successful, it's gonna be a movie, dude.
Is that beginning next year or when?
Well, that's one of the things I was asking too, right, guys? I mean, what do you think? The media in air quotes says 2027. I think it could very easily be a holiday 26.
I think it depends when if GTA's this year. I think next holiday, Intergalactic.
Yeah, I think next holiday.
Do you understand the backlash, Naughty Dog? Like, dude, they canceled Faction. They got a lot. You know what I mean? They got a lot riding on this. I'm telling you, they're gonna show off big time with this one. Just watch.
Yeah, I do agree.
The
with
reason
this is their comeback, bro.
Yeah, Neil Druckmann said that basically they're learning. They want to learn from the mistakes of the past, where they revealed and announced stuff too early, coupled with the fiasco that was Factions 2, right? I don't think they would have shown it if it wasn't going to be. Again, I know the rumors are that it's 2007, and if I'm wrong, then fine. I'll stick my head out and say I was wrong. But I have a feeling, I agree with you. I reckon fall 2026, and based on everything that has happened and the comments that he's made just in the last year or something, I don't think they would have revealed it unless it was
ready to go.
They already said they're playing it in the office, right? So it probably is further along than we think.
I think it'll be 2026, the end of. Only because otherwise they'll sell you The Last of Us Part 1 remastered, remade, into infinity again. I mean, they've already remade it like 5 times. No. You have to admit to me, how many times have they re-released The Last of Us Part 1? Like, how many times have they done it?
From the PS4, it was 1080 60. Then they remastered it, which a lot of people said, "Oh, we don't need a remaster." Then you look at the PS3 version, the PS4 version, and you're like, actually, those graphics were aging a little bit. But I get what you're saying. I mean, listen, you know why they keep doing it, Death Singer? People say, like, $10 to gamers now is like $1 to us. Like, we value $10 like nothing. You know what I mean? As gamers, like $10, it's like, that's why they keep doing it, because people keep buying it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this question, since I do want to touch on this. I'm not going to get into the Nintendo Direct today, because I think a lot of the games, and I was even looking at a lot of the Nintendo channels. Shout out to Aaron, who went from an Xbox fan to a Nintendo fan. But Aaron, this is for you as well.
He's lying.
Of course he is. But so they had, and I may be saying this wrong, Patapon 1 and 2, and Everybody's Golf Hotshots coming to Nintendo Switch. And everyone's like, oh, that singer didn't take more than 8 or maybe 12 seconds to write me. And he's like, Mooch, here's a great topic. It looks like PlayStation's walls are crumbling. And I was like, what? These are older IP. I think Patapon 1 came out in 2007, and it's being published by Bandai Namco. Blaze, what's your take when you see something like that? Do you think that this is PlayStation's going third party? They took a game out from 2007 that's literally a linear 2D kind of game, and that's the new craze.
You got to know who you're dealing with here. This is Dessing.
I know.
I've spent many days and nights with him in the Discord arguing the same shit we're arguing now. And look, that game's like nothing to them. Like, do they even own the rights to that shit anymore?
When you said days and nights, I was like, pause. What's going on?
They do own
So
he likes his British gentleman.
if I remember, Patapon was Japan studio.
exactly.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kofi,
Look,
let's
that
go,
shit's so
Kofi.
old, man.
And it's a Sony IP, and it was re-released on the PS4. So it's not that old. They re-released
I don't think anybody's worried about Patapon going to Switch. Bro.
I know.
I know.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
I didn't know until I saw it.
Can we actually talk about Patapon for a couple seconds?
Go ahead, Kofi, please.
Okay, so really quick, obviously, I was in love with this game when it was originally released. It was a side-scrolling, team-based game that's single player where you manage a collection of warriors that represent their village in taking down animal threats or certain beasts that are trying to invade their area. But the reason it's unique is everything runs on a rhythm, and basically each Patapon character has a specific job that they are good at, whether it's throwing spears or defending or staying close with melee attacks. And they follow this rhythm where they say their name almost like a Pokemon. So they go pata 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 pon, and then there is like this how would you say, momentum that you generate with hitting the buttons on rhythm. So it's almost like Taiko no Tatsujin, which is a really popular drumming game that's on Switch and PlayStation. But it has like more of like a story overtone, and the aesthetic is really like cartoonish, kind of nostalgic. Absolutely love the series. So I'm sorry to hijack you, Blaze. I just wanted to say really quick.
No, you're good. I mean,
That's
it
awesome.
sounds like a Nintendo game. There you go.
It sounds like a Nintendo game.
It does.
I mean, if we're being fair, the games that were ported over was what? Lego Horizon, that's kind of a Switch game. Everybody's Golf, that's a Switch game.
I actually like that game.
The first game that did this, that was in PlayStation stable and went to Bandai Namco, was Freedom Wars, which came out in January of this year. And when it was announced, like November of last year, to be honest, I noticed that Bandai Namco was taking on, and it kind of sat in the back of my brain because I'm still kind of a little bit salty about Studio Japan not existing. But I'm like, that IP is dead. Like, if you had said to me before November of last year that Freedom Wars is coming out on PlayStation 4 and other platforms, I'd be like, liar. That IP is dead. Sony doesn't talk about it anymore. So I'm happy that it's back, and they gave it a chance.
I own that on the Vita.
Walls,
is that the same one?
Yes. Yeah. You own on the Vita?
Yeah, I have a brand new sale, baby.
I'm sorry, guys. I get excited because it was a really fun game, and it was in the veins of like people who enjoyed co-op like Monster Hunter. That's really, it doesn't play like Monster Hunter, to be honest, but it has like a 4-player online co-op where you're trying to free yourself by removing all the years that you're in prison for, and you have like 99,000 years.
Yeah. And you fight boss. Yeah, no, I remember that shit. You fight crazy ass bosses.
It's a dope game, right? And Sony owned it. So where am I going with this? I'm sorry. But okay, so do I think Sony's walls are caving now that we've seen 4 titles go to Bandai Namco? No. Am I a little bit salty about Studio Japan not existing in these games, kind of just coming out, and they're not trying to iterate on these franchises? A little bit salty.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't see doom and gloom. I don't see anything negative. I do hope that some successors to this title could be Sony owned or Sony supported, so that they can kind of influence the industry like those did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you speak Japanese?
Yeah, he does.
I do.
Bro, his pronunciation there, I was like, damn.
No, he's very good, actually. Outstanding. Kofi, I appreciate that. You have Brian East. He says, if PSSR advances enough next year to provide a visual fidelity comparable to a mid to high-end spec gaming PC, and publishers optimize console over PC for sales, who's to say PC gamers won't move? And that was when we were talking about having the PlayStation. The idea of one of PlayStation's strategies is to have the games on PC to get people to come over to PlayStation 5. Scoop says COVID-19 is why cross-gen got so highlighted. Scoop, we were saying that. We were all kind of saying that back in 2020, 2021, right? That was kind of the premise, and we were living through it. But when it came down to it, 117 million PS4s out there by 2020. COVID probably had something to do with it, but I would be very honest with you. I think they just saw, like Erica was saying, we were in the era of Fortnite, right? Warzone, Apex. Rainbow Six Siege. What was that?
GTA 5.
GTA 5 online. Huge.
Microtransactions.
Yes.
What is GTA 5? The third highest selling game of all time? Like, that is stupid. How many copies
they're making crazy money, and then PlayStation, getting those cuts when it's on their system.
Right.
So.
And the worst part is that game came out on the 360. Like, I don't know. Like, GTA 6 is going to be out of this world. That's all I know.
It really will. That's the game. All Death Singer's waiting, guys. Just so you know, if Sony's listening or anybody's listening from Sony, if you want Death Singer's money, okay, he is waiting to see whether or not you give a 60 frame option on PS5 Pro. If you do,
I need a 60 locked. I need a good 60 FPS mode.
Let's
if
not
you don't
say
have that, I'm checking it.
You going for lock there?
Would that get you to buy a Pro?
He said yes.
If they can get 60, I don't think they can. I think the CPU is not going to hold up to do it. Because that's the problem. The GPU isn't the problem. It's just that CPU is so old. I'm just like,
and that's a huge game.
It's a massive game. Listen, the only way that's I think everybody would agree with me on the panel, right? The only way that the game is getting to anywhere near 60 is if PSSR is enhanced enough to make that a thing of right, because the raw hardware alone is not going to be able to get you there. I just don't think so. I think the PSSR is going to be the golden bullet if that's going to be. Shout out to T-Rock. He says, "How about AC Shadows? We're going to definitely go over that." He goes, Xbox hardships. T-Rock doesn't want to talk about it anymore. Brian East just drops this. I appreciate, guys, all the super chats. Thank you, guys. He says, "What if Sony's dropping games into a handheld as a testing field to see which games would be worth remaking, remastering on their upcoming rumored handheld? Sony loves to strategize, just saying." I mean, they are saying that Sony's going to have some sort of a handout. It's a rumor. Sony would have a handheld probably launching sometime in the vicinity of the PS6 era, right? So I don't know how real or not real that is going to end up being. I don't think that this is their test. I don't think this is their test bin. I don't know if anyone on the panel wants to comment on that super chat. I think this is just a legitimate way for them to take an old IP. Bandai Namco is publishing it. They'll make a couple of dollars off of it. It's just something that, and it's on the original Nintendo. I wonder, are those games, let me ask Kofi. Kofi, is the Patapon 1 and 2, and as well as everybody's Golf Hotshots, is that going to be coming to Switch 2 as well? Will those be compatible? Did they get into that? I don't think they even got into that. Did I lose Kofi? Hopefully the stream's still working.
No, I don't think he's there.
I don't think they got into that, though, right, that singer? They didn't mention that.
No, they didn't mention it, but I mean, to the super chat, I just think they're reviving some old IP that would make sense to be on the Nintendo Switch. Because if you think of the kind of games on the Switch, these are everyone probably wants Sony to dive into their backlog of IP because they have an entire warehouse full of IP that is good IP that they won't bring back for whatever reason. But they decided on these probably because they were super cheap. Bear in mind, they didn't make it. They only licensed it to Bandai. So Bandai Namco is doing the game. They just licensed the IP to them. It's no sweat off their back.
Right.
Have you heard of Project Delta?
No.
You haven't heard of that?
Unless when you say, unless you
say
it rings a bit.
Series that's going to come back or something.
No.
Yeah, you haven't heard of that, Mooch? Oh, no.
What's going on?
No. It's rumored that Project Delta, they're gonna. I forgot what's the developer called. People Can Fly. Some shit.
People Can Fly. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I knew you heard of it.
Well, PlayStation hired them to make a game, right?
Right. Of an existing, but it's called Project Delta.
Okay.
You know what they're bringing back?
Saying,
you think it's gonna be SOCOM?
You know it's gonna be SOCOM, baby.
I heard it's Siphon Filter. That's what Mag said. Because there's a Delta Squad on there or something like that.
Okay.
And that's what the connection is.
Who said that?
Mag? Yeah,
block them.
Block them? the thing is, stealth games need to come back because it's like, if Ubisoft got their finger out there behind, I'm going to be polite this time, and they actually redid a very, very good Splinter Cell, that would sell a lot. I think Splinter Cell would sell a lot if they actually released a good. It has to be good, And we're talking about Ubisoft, so I don't know which side of the fence you fall on. If they make a good one, it'll sell really, really well. And I think Siphon Filter coming back might sell as well. I mean, a majority of gamers are older, so they probably remember Siphon Filter, but all these Fortnite gamers won't buy it because they're like, "What the hell?
No.
What's Siphon Filter?"
What is clear, I'd be happy if it was any of those on it. Resistance, Killzone, any of those. I'd be happy. Siphon Filter, whatever.
I'll be
Destinger. You're saying about stealth. Like, I remember Microsoft, they announced ages ago. I can't remember what it was. I think it was by the Coalition. Do you remember the trailer? It was like a dude going down a glass skyscraper. He was rappelling down, abseiling down, and it was like a stealth, like really sick graphics. And I remember, like, when I saw that, because there's like a gap in the market for stealth right now, right? With Metal Gear, Kojima's doing his own thing. Siphon Filter doesn't exist, and I remember seeing that and thinking, "Oh, this looks incredible! Like, this is straight up my alley." And then they ended up just being like a Gears factory, and like, I wish, like, just do what some of the PlayStation studios do, like do one off, like, do a Gears, then do something else, because that I think deserves to be made. Like that just looks so appealing to me. That
I agree, they should make something like that. But the thing is, it's like you have to consider what games are making you money. Would you rather put your time and effort into making a Siphon Filter, or would you rather put your time and effort into making another God of War game, for example? Like,
but Gears of War has been trending downwards for a while, though, so it's not like it's doing gangbusters anyway. I'm just saying, like, give it a go.
They have to save the franchise, right? So they're gonna E-Day is gonna be the same.
E-Day will come close, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that would do good. Yeah, I think that would be good. Great.
E-Day will do it because it's the prequel to the first game. Everyone loves Marcus Phoenix and the whole crew. Like, people don't really give a shit about JD and all that nonsense.
No, I think E-Day will be big. I mean,
I'm pretty excited.
They listen. They cannot mess it up.
They really can't.
They're done if they mess it up.
I just want to see what they're gonna do with Unreal Engine 5. That because they're wizards.
Yeah.
With that
they're the wizards with it. Yeah.
I think
if anyone can, it's them.
I think the game's gonna be
in your ass and Gears. Never mind.
Can't wait.
Wait a minute. So, Erica, my question for you then with that is, do you think that they're gonna have? I'll be honest with you. I think E-Day is gonna be phenomenal, but do you think that they're going to have a multiplayer aspect with it or no?
E-Day, yeah. The rumor is the collection's not. And
right, the collection is not.
They're putting the efforts into E-Day. That they have to. If they don't have multiplayer on E-Day,
it's dead on arrival, bro. You gotta have it.
It's dead. Yeah, okay, I will be super shocked if it doesn't.
PvP, right? Not PvE, which should be in the.
Well, both, because you have Horde mode too.
Horde mode as
you
well.
You gotta remember
Horde.
Horde.
Right, Horde mode.
If they don't have Horde, even in the collection, is like sketchy. It's rumored that it's there or that it's not there. We don't really even know.
That one's 50-50, Horde mode, yes.
Yeah, like if Horde's not there, that's going to be a huge miss.
So disappointed,
I personally think the collection, though, is just to bring PlayStation gamers up to speed on what's happening in the story.
I mean that's the theory, yeah. But at the same time, you have Xbox people who played it back then who want to revisit the multiplayer, so they're getting hurt by it, I feel.
That's right.
So
I think it needs to be. I think it should be there.
They are, but you're probably trading off, like, well, because before you release E-Day, you want all the PlayStation gamers to be up to speed on what the story is. So once they play through the first three, then they play E-Day, they'll be like, oh, this makes complete sense. Yeah. So, I mean, I could see
why it makes sense. I'm salty about it, but it makes sense.
Also, you need servers for the multiplayer and Horde mode. Do you really want to put all that effort into servers for this collection?
No, I mean, the more you think about it, the collection could just be an introduction to the PlayStation fan base and wherever else they're going to launch it. But yeah, I mean, I would say to those people who haven't experienced it yet, like Erica said, then it would be a bit of a loss for those people coming. And like you said, the Xbox folks might want to actually purchase this, play those games in the high fidelity, the whole nine, and now they're going to be like,
because that's what they'll tell me. Well, you could just go play them right now. It's like, yeah, but those are 360 games that nobody's playing. Nobody's on there. You'd be playing the same crew from Mexico over and over. Like, you're not going to find anybody.
That's right.
So it's more about that for me. But with that said, like, if there's no multiplayer, they got to go hard with E-Day. It's got to make up for that. That multiplayer has to be amazing.
I completely agree.
The Blazers, Blaze, you said about Unreal. Just to anyone watching, RoboCop Rogue City is on PlayStation Plus now, I think, and
Fire
it was
game.
cheap anyway. Dude, if you want an amazing, maybe not the character models, but if you want like incredible Unreal 5 engine visuals and like super, I think it's like the closest thing to the Matrix demo in a game yet. Totally off my radar.
Yeah,
and then
dude,
I played
when
it
you're
and I was
shooting metal, when you're shooting the box, oh my
dude,
god.
it
Go
looks
play
so good.
RoboCop. It really is so good.
They did a nice job of playing.
The thing is, it's like Avowed did Unreal Engine 5 really well. But these are few and far between games. Most Unreal Engine 5 games are a piece of garbage. I mean, look at Immortals of Avium. Super hyped, came out. I mean, all these games using Unreal Engine 5, like the next big game that will do Unreal Engine 5 well is Gears. And that is a given, because you're talking about the Coalition. They always get the most from Unreal. So, I mean, I could see them doing that. And I don't know, it's like Unreal Engine 5 still probably won't be good for another couple of years anyway. So
I mean, there's games that do it. I mean, Rivals is running on UE5. You know what I mean? Like, there's games that
I mean, for Fortnite is as well. So I mean,
yeah. It just depends on the dev, man. I mean, RoboCop. You're talking about a AA. You know what I mean? The fact that they did what they did with that game is remarkable.
No, I totally agree. I do.
Really
I
talented guys.
Yes.
Hey Mooch, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to be on here, so I don't know if you want to get to
I do want to get to Assassin's Creed if you don't mind, Erica. That's where I was.
Or Khazan. I mean, we could hold off on
that's
Khazan
right.
if you want.
I
want to hear about it.
I did want to talk about. Oh my god! All right, so listen,
there's a lot of things to talk about, but I mean, it's up to you. Like,
I know we're at the 2.5 hour mark already, and I usually ask these guys for like 2 hours at a time, so I appreciate it. Erica, let's do this real quick. Let's just talk about the first Berserker real quick, because it is relevant. Everybody's talking about it. You're streaming it, so I would like you also to plug the fact that you're doing that. I like, what do you think about the game? And I was watching, I want to say it was a Fighting Cowboy, and he was saying that it was an unbelievably, he was pleasantly surprised even more than that, because he said it was kind of how the best of Neo and the best of Sekiro, and it's a Souls-like game. So without saying more, Erica, what's your take? You've got how many hours into it, and what do you think?
A little over 40 hours. I did a review, and Fighting Cowboy, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. He used the word peak. This is peak.
He did say that.
And he's not wrong. Like, a lot of the Souls content creators, they're all agreeing it's one of the best Souls likes ever. Like, it's solidifying as like, you got to play this. If you're into Neo, especially, and I can't say it enough, you're going to love this game. I'm playing it right now as we're talking.
She's breaking the rules. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I had
So's
to.
Blaze, by the way. So's Blaze.
It just screams Neo in so many ways, like with your armor and how you fight, and the balance of aggression, but also deflections, and it's like it's so fun. The combat is probably some of the best you're gonna catch in a Souls-like game. The bosses are challenging, but there's also an easy mode. So like if you don't want to have that crazy challenge, you can play on easy mode. And that, I think, is a big deal. Some purists are going to be like hating on that.
Yeah.
I'm not, though, because I know that's going to be a deal breaker in the sense of like people will choose to pick it up knowing there's an easy mode. Like it's going to open them up to this kind of game and the genre just on that alone. And I think that's great. Like, you don't have to play easy mode, right? You don't have to choose it. But on normal, that's like your genuine, difficulty that they wanted for you, and it's great. They patched it though. I don't know if you guys know there's a patch that came out today.
I saw it today. Yeah.
They nerfed 2 bosses that are kind of early on, and so that's a little bit of a controversy right now. But I'm torn on it. Like I beat them as hard as they were, and then now they're nerfed. So what can I do? It's done. I already beat them. But for the people who are complaining, they're happy that. So
Erica, where I will say this much.
It just tells you it's difficult. Yeah.
So
what's up?
What do you think about this? So I found Neo is one of the more difficult Souls-like games that I personally have ever played. Do you think is it more difficult on par or easier? The first one, yes, please. Yes, the first one. Agree.
You're saying you're asking me if Neo 1 is more difficult?
Is the original Neo, how would you compare it in difficulty to normal? I'm not talking about easy mode. I'm talking about normal, playing it the way that, that it's intended. Intended to play,
It could be a matter of like me just having way more experience now, but I feel like Neo 1 was harder.
Okay.
The human bosses in Neo were no joke. Like I was stuck on like certain bosses for hours. This game, there's been a couple I've been stuck for hours, but because you're always like accumulating the soul's currency every time you try, like you're constantly leveling up, you're constantly getting gear and like getting better things. If you just farm a little bit, like it's super generous. And Neo was kind of like that too, but I feel like this game is even more so, like just kind of guiding you through and making it so you die, but you're also being rewarded, if that makes sense. So you're constantly rewarded and constantly like feeling it's possible to beat this boss.
Mm-hmm. Nib, did you have a
Neo
question?
was more defeating. I think Neo was more punishing and defeating. So yeah.
I was just gonna ask how many hours into it are you?
A little over 40 on this one.
Okay, and if you had to give it a preliminary score or grading, what would you say?
As a Souls-like dude, it's nearly perfect. Like it's
Wow.
I'm hard.
Wow.
No, seriously, I'm hard pressed to find negatives. The only negative I think that I have now is the music. I think could be better. There's not really memorable tracks. Like you fight certain bosses, you're like, man, that music's banging,
Yes.
and you remember. Nice. This one, it not so much. They're a little more forgettable. But the sound effects make up for it. Like it's some of the best sound effects in the combat. Like when you're clanking your swords together, when you're dodging through, you hear this like whoosh. Like it's just awesome to listen to, like for the sound effects. So it makes up for it,
Damn.
What's up?
Go ahead,
I have
Kofi.
a question that apparently, and this is new to me because I don't follow the character, but apparently he's from a game. Khazan is from a game called DNF Duel, and apparently some fans are complaining that Khazan's backstory was not fleshed out. And this game was supposed to be an opportunity for that. And now, here's the thing. When I play Souls games, I'll be honest. Story through gameplay is my mantra. I'm not looking for some cutscene in my typical JRPG experience. But do you feel like the story in this game gets in the way? Like, why do you think, at least I'm seeing a lot of complainers over the story?
Yeah, if they have like a history in that story and that lore and they're trying to get more out of it, they're probably going to have complaints. I've seen reviews that have knocked the score because of the story. And me, I'm like you. When I'm playing a Souls-like, I don't really care for the story as much.
Right.
Like it's interesting. I'm cool with learning things and checking out lore and stuff like that. But yeah, there is cutscenes. Like you are getting a story here, but it's very easy to understand. And yeah, it doesn't really go back in time with Khazan. It's more so like, hey, this happened, and now we're trying to figure out why this happened and get our revenge.
Erica,
it's
why did Fighting Cowboy make the reference to Sekiro? Everything I've watched, I am not seeing Sekiro imagery. Maybe gameplay. Are you picking up on that?
The gameplay, probably just the deflections and
okay.
And there's moves in this game. Like if you played Sekiro, the Mikiri counter. There's moves that kind of like mimic that. Like you have to input like a special parry move, and it's like super flashy and it's like detrimental to the enemy. Like you have to hit these moves to like win. So it's kind of like the Mikiri counter in a sense.
I really do enjoy when a game like this comes out. And yes, did I know it was coming out? Yes. I'm like I said, I'm 15 hours into Assassin's Creed Shadows. And it's like, if I put that, you guys know this, right? If I put that game down and start playing the first Berserker, then do I go back to Shadows? This year's stacked. Yeah. So like all you need is...
I have the opposite. I'm the opposite. I can't play Assassin's Creed because I'm playing this.
But will you?
Can't do it.
Will you play it though, Erica?
I think eventually, yeah, because it'll go on sale. I want to play it, especially after how based they've been on Twitter. I seen them ratioing Elon Musk and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I was like, and the whole anti-woke campaign and them just completely getting shut up by the sales. I'm all for that. Like that makes me want to buy it. I'm petty like that.
I saw a ton of people agree with you. They would agree. You weren't on X, but I'm saying they would agree with you. I mean, is there a Blaze? You're always got the calendar open. Blaze, what's the game? Is there a game coming out in April, or is it worthwhile for me to pick up? I might pick this. I might pick up the first Berserker, even though I'm playing Shadows. Is there anything coming out in April I got to keep on the horizon?
Not that I know. But
I know South of Midnight's coming out, but that I don't think that's. I'm assuming that's going to be somewhere around a 12 to 15 hour playthrough. I think.
Yeah. This is a game you want to play by you know what I mean, you don't want to jump around. So I would finish one or the other first.
I'm going to finish Shadows then. That's good
I would
advice.
finish Shadows. This will always be here. This is a big sleeper for a lot of people, and I mean, it's not going to get nominated for Game of the Year, but possibly Best Action. I think it could deserve it for sure.
I mean, unless you're
amazing combat.
Unless you're planning to play like April. I mean, there's Expedition 33. Clear Obscure.
Oh, that's right. That's
super hyped about.
Yes,
that looks incredible.
It does.
But then again, that's at the end of the month. So
that's the tail end too. Yeah,
it's at the tail end. It's the 24th. So I mean, you have time because unless you're interested in South of Midnight, and I don't think you'd pick that over like an Assassin's Creed. I don't think.
Well, so let's be fair though.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Well, listen, I missed Monster Hunter Wild, so hopefully, if there is no lull, I think, because I was going to say the summer, but the summer I think is when Mafia comes out, so I'm really screwed. I wanted to play that, Kofi, but the one thing I would say right now is South of Midnight, actually, believe it or not, and I actually said this. I know everybody on the internet hated it. That's fine. I think it'll be one of those games that when everyone that goes and plays the game says it's actually not as bad. They just listen to what the gaming media said right away, and this and that. But Forspoken was not awful. It was not awful at all. I enjoyed it. I have a ton of hours in that game. And I think South of Midnight could be parallel to that and how awesome, like, the powers and the way that the movement through the world. No, not some of the artwork. The artwork is completely different. But the powers and the movement made it feel like... And I enjoyed Forspoken, so I am looking forward to South of Midnight, actually. And if South of Midnight is an easier, quick play, I'm thinking 12 to 15 hours. We'll see when the reviews come out. But I would be done by... Because that comes out middle of the month, Death Singer. So...
no, South of Midnight comes out at the beginning.
I thought it was April 12th. It's
April 8th.
Oh, it's the 8th.
April
okay,
8th.
All right. Then, I mean, that would run into Shadows. I mean, listen, Shadows is easily... I think not platinum or 100%, but Shadows is going to be a 40, 50-hour game. I don't know if any...
for sure.
Easily.
I think for Erica, it's better because... Assassin's Creed games on Steam, they go on sale real freaking quick. Assassin's Creed games, like they always do. Odyssey and Origins, they dropped. Like it was like 6 months. Valhalla, I think, was 6 months, and they instantly had like a flash sale and whatnot. So, I mean, you could leave that to the end of the year or throw it in your backlog and never play it.
Maybe the winter sale or something.
Yeah,
I'll pick it up.
Yeah, something like that. You'll probably get a good discount on it because it's. You know, there's just too many games to play. Like,
that's it.
I finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now I'm playing Monster Hunter Wild. It's like, the thing is, I have to skip Assassin's Creed. It's just a fact. Like, because by the time I finish Monster Hunter... Yeah, but the thing is, by the time I finish Monster Hunter, Clear Obscure is going to be out. Then I want to play that. And then I want to play Doom, Lost All Aside, all games future. And so I have to pick and choose. Like,
so it's funny. So Death Singer,
you have to be picky. You have
to
be
picky this year.
You have to.
Yeah, this year you have to.
You have no other
April. Okay, let's think about it. April's stacked, right? You guys may be picking 1 or 2 games. May, you have Night Rain, you have Doom, you have Lost Soul Aside, and then Death Stranding 2 is the next month. Shit. It's insane. Like,
I thought Doom was May. I thought Doom was May. Shit, that's April.
Yeah, May.
Too.
I'm saying after April it's May.
All
right.
Night
Rain. I'm up
in
here about that Elden Ring shit, dude. I'm not feeling it at all.
Blaze, I'm kind of torn on it. Honestly, I am kind of torn.
You
get Elden Ring DLC
builds and shit, and you gotta I don't know. And listen, look, I have a rule. I had a rule where anything Neo. I've always looked at. No offense, as bootleg Souls. This is anything not made by Firm Software. I hated on and called it bootleg Souls. But what broke the rule for me was Liza P, and I was like, wow, this was excellent, you know. And so I'm finally I seen some guys say Neo series is better than all the Dark Souls combined.
Oh no.
I would honestly.
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. That's kind of wild.
I love some Neo though. I'm not gonna say it's better, but
Neo's great. It is great.
No, but I gotta get on the Neo wave. But like I said, I beat Lords of the Fallen, the new one, and I thought that was great as well. So like I'm breaking the mold. I used to hate on it a lot. But
you're starting to come around then. You're starting to come around.
Liza P DLC, bro. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's this summer too. That's this summer. So it's nuts. It's nuts. It's gonna be great.
So Blaze, you played Blaze, you're playing Last Berserker, and I'll get you in here for sure. Blaze, you're playing it too right now. Like, what's your take on it? I mean, from you have a degree in Souls. What's your take?
Yeah, well, look, I wasn't gonna buy the game. It took my boy Lazy, like, Blaze, you got to play this game. It's excellent, and he's linking me, and then someone's linking me fighting.
Shout out to Lazy, who's in the chat earlier.
Cowboy said this, Blaze. I'm like, listen, I love me fighting Cowboy, but I don't care if he says what. Like, I'm not playing this shit. And you know what? And then everybody's like Blaze, how are you not playing? Because the art style, it's like, what do you call this? Borderland? What
like anime cell shade. I guess.
Yeah, I'm not an anime fan. I know I'm the odd one out here, but like, so I was like, but seeing, dude, you're leaving marks on enemies that slash the blood, the gore. It's like, it's like, how can I not? It's honestly, it's beautiful emotion. It like the game is absolutely beautiful emotion, and I'm shocked to say that I am enjoying it. You know what I mean? Like a lot more.
So that should tell everybody right there. That should tell everybody if you know the way Blaze is with the Souls likes.
Yeah,
and if he's feeling this, that just tells you,
I just bought 4 games, and I decided not to buy Khazan because I just bought Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Physical, but now you guys are making me kind of regret that.
Well, I don't think you'll regret it, man. I don't think you'll regret it.
Oh my lord!
The good
I beat that on. I beat it on the hardest difficulty, and then everybody in my district was like, "Oh, but Blaze, you didn't beat it on whatever the next difficulty up, the hard because it was locked." I beat that. I want to just make a statement real quick, Mooch. Ninja Gaiden, the new one, Black, is some of the hardest, most annoying shit I've ever played. And listen, I feel like I'm a Souls veteran, but that shit was some of the hardest shit I've ever done in my life.
So really quick.
I can imagine.
I played Sigma 2 back on the PS3 days, and I loved that. But I waited to get Black for physical because it finally just came out in physical today. Yeah, today.
Fire.
So I can't wait. Now, one thing. I'm sorry, this is really nerdy, but what I can understand is that Sigma 2, the PlayStation release, had a different level of difficulty from the Xbox 360 Ninja Gaiden 2. So I've never played the Xbox version. So now
they're saying it's harder. There was more enemies on screen at once. But listen, this shit. Yeah. Listen, I seen people struggle on it. I played it I beat it on the hardest. Like I'm telling you, it is the most unforgiving shit ever.
That's crazy to hear, though. Erica, we were talking before the show. We were talking before the show about how Blaze is like insanely good at these games. Blaze was before you entered, right? Your ears are probably ringing. And now you're telling me about that with Ninja. Was it Ninja Gaiden? Which one was it? It's 2, right?
The remake.
If he's saying that, is that difficult? Yeah, that's got to be wild. That's probably off the list.
I mean, he still beat it.
He did.
He's a beast.
Is that the one-hit kill mode? This is a mode where anything kills you in one hit.
Yeah,
listen, I don't know. The hardest. Like I said, I beat it on the hardest. I forgot what they call it. The hardest, whatever the hardest one was, and then they were giving me a hard time. Like, oh, well, the real hard difficulty unlocked. Now you have to beat it on that. I'm like, what? So they got to me, and I did it, but it was crazy. And there's no lock on. I'm not,
no lock on.
That's difficult.
It's a different
gonna drop
game.
Everything.
Yeah, it was different for me. Like it was combos. I'm not good at all that type of shit. That's new to me. You know what I mean?
2 questions here for you guys. So, Erica, I got to ask you this. Then I do want to ask an Assassin's Creed question real quick. So, you're 40 hours into the Berserker. Are you going to end up? Because I think with Souls games, you're a completionist. I have this feeling. Are you going to pick it up also on PS5 and get the platinum?
Probably not. I'm actually not that much of a completionist. I'm not.
Well, the only reason I say that is
I get as many trophies as I can, and like I'll go for some of them, but I'm not over here trying to, get everything. I'm not one of those.
Well, the reason I say that though is you've played you played Dark Souls 3 how many times?
I do play them over and over.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring they just kind of
3 at least 5 times.
Yeah. So you just end up getting the trophies whether you're looking for them or not. Like, you know what I mean?
Much.
So like,
well, no, I want to touch on that, Mooch, because look, I have platinums in Elden Ring and Demon Souls, and I think that's where it ends. But my top 5 most played games are Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, 2, and I don't have a platinum for none of those. But I'm like 80% on all of them. I was never looking for platinums. Like Demon Souls, I went for it. Elden Ring, I went for it. But it kind of bothers me that I have 700 hours in these games or whatever.
Yeah.
And no platinum.
Yeah, it kind of bothers me, you know.
Well, Blaze, what about you? You have a platinum.
Sometimes,
you have a platinum in Bloodborne.
No, Bloodborne, I don't.
Oh, I thought
that's my third most played game of all time.
I'm surprised by that. I actually went for the platinum, but I'm missing one trophy from the Chalice dungeons.
Mooch,
I did go for it.
Yeah,
I did go do it, Mooch. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like when I was playing, like I could go. Listen, it's not about the difficulty or like it's just time for me.
It's time,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
That's all it's about.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's funny because I've had a bunch of people, and I asked this question, it's not to put anybody on a hot seat or spotlight. I get, whenever it's something I genuinely really love, I feel like I got 100% it. And I've been, this is the year I've been kind of stepping away from that. I'm playing games through, beating them, and I'm not necessarily 100% in them. And that there's nothing wrong with that. I just feel like you're supposed to do that, and I'm like, you got to step away from that. You got to, whether it's Xbox, PC, I don't care, PlayStation with the platinum. Like, I think you play it, enjoy it if you want to play it through twice. I got a buddy of mine, James, he loves Stellar Blade. He's played it like 2 or 3 times. I go, you must have the platinum. He's like, not even close, dude. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm reading the room wrong. But he's like, no, I just played through it. I love the game. I'll probably play through it again before they have a sequel or a DLC. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna get the platinum. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, it's just for me. I always feel like, yeah.
I'm gonna get BitCloud, and I'm gonna pay him $300 to go clean up all these little bullshit trophies. Like that's what I'll do.
Poor Bit's like, I'm not doing that.
Oh no, he'll do it.
You could probably do that. I was gonna say real quick, Mooch.
Yeah.
You know they're committing crimes now in the gaming industry.
How's that?
Because lots of people I see are looking forward to Lost Soul Aside and Elden Ring Night Rain.
Okay.
Well, these geniuses decided to drop them both the same day.
Yeah.
People don't have time right now, and you're dropping 2 highly anticipated games on the same fucking day. You know?
I know it's just me and Slow-Mo on an island. Shout out to Slow-Mo Backside. But listen, they're dropping, we're going to be playing a hell of a lot of Borderlands 4. And listen, you know there's going to be an onslaught. Are you going to be there too, Blaze? Like, it's literally going to be an onslaught of games that come out from September till when GTA 6 comes out. And they're all going to try and stack it months before. I think GTA 6 comes out end of October. Or I'm thinking, honestly, you really want a number? It's going to be in November. I think it's in early November.
I think it's
a November game.
I'm with Borderlands too, bro. I'm all over that.
Yo, Borderlands looks so fire. I don't care. Everyone's like, yo, it's more Borderlands. I'm like, then load me up with it. That's fine.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? I got no problem with that. That game is just
there's so many games.
It's stupid fun. Yes, go ahead.
Another game that's kind of Souls-like, but we don't know a lot is Hell Is Us. Has anybody?
Yeah, I'm tracking it. Yeah.
But, sometimes not knowing what's going on excites me. I don't know why.
That's true.
It's like this looks really mysterious.
That's true. It's literally the complete opposite of Borderlands 4, where I know everything that's probably the only thing I'm praying for, because I already know the gunplay is going to be amazing. The only thing I'm praying for in Borderlands is give a good antagonist again, please. I mean, listen, you don't have to match Handsome Jack, but do better than you did in 3, please. The twins were not great.
I'm with you.
If they can make Borderlands 4, if they can return it to Borderlands 2 is my favorite Borderlands, and it's absolutely amazing. The DLC is on point.
It is.
All the expansions, Tiny Tina's escape from Dragon Keep. That's freaking that is expert the humor is on point.
I'm like 6 sense. I want to say 6. I haven't looked back. Maybe I'm like 10. Maybe 6 or 7, 10, 8 less than 10, I would say, trophies from the Platinum and Tiny Tina's Wonderland. And I know it looked corny and all that. That was a good game. The story was good, and it actually made you laugh out loud. What's that? Listen,
I was on about the DLC for Borderlands 2. That was
Blaze. I'm telling you, I know nobody wants to hear that, and that's fine. It's a little side section of
Borderlands.
Yeah,
you know why, bro? Listen, I've never fallen asleep on stream until I played that game.
Which game?
I dozed off for 15 minutes, and people were like thinking I died. And thank God nobody clipped this shit. I was surprised. I woke up the next morning beautiful. I wasn't on Twitter. I was like, oh, thank God, dude. That shit put me to sleep, Moose. I don't know what the hell happened with that.
Listen, look, maybe it's a slow burn. I don't know. Like I liked
the first one's a little bit boring in my opinion.
Oh, you're talking about the first Borderlands?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Too many skags, man. All you're shooting is skags.
Yes, a little bit.
But two was
hey Mooch.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I gotta head out. It's
okay. No,
late
listen,
here.
I appreciate that.
I gotta go be mom. I gotta do mom duty.
Erica, I completely understand. Do me a favor. Let everybody know where they can find you on YouTube. You're doing outstanding work, and I will reach out to you again on Discord to see when you're available again.
Yeah, of course. I'll be happy to come back when I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, Erica's for the win. You just find me there. You want to see more Berserk content and stuff? That's what I'm doing right now. Streams every Wednesday night. And other than that, man, I'm so happy I got to come by. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on, Erica. Thank you so much. Guys, go over and check her out on YouTube.
Later.
Thanks, Erica.
Nice talking to you again.
Bye, Blaze. Yeah. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
See you, Erica. Blaze, I'll say this one thing before we wrap up, because I listen, I always say to Blaze, hey Blaze, let's not do Solidcast for 5 hours, and then here I am keeping them for 3.
No, you're good, bro. No, you're good.
Blaze, what the thing is, and I got some of the gameplay on screen here, and I want to hear what Kofi's thinking. I don't know how many of you guys played Shadows or want to play Shadows or just saw stuff. They took, and I'm enjoying it. I'm not gonna look at it. You guys watch the screen right here. I'm enjoying it, but they literally took a couple, if not an entire chapter out of Ghost of Tsushima in some of this combat. Like,
I believe it.
And I'm not, listen, that's, you want to say, oh, Mooch, you're giving them a jab. I'm not, because I can't wait to go back and play it tonight. Like, it's good. I think Ghost of Tsushima was a little bit more crisp, but this is good. And I'm enjoying it, man. I really, really am. I don't understand the gameplay for Assassin. You guys know, I've been saying this for years on this channel. I'm not an Assassin's Creed guy. I'm not. But this is not, I don't know, it's just not playing like a typical one. Yes, the map has a million question marks all over it and this and that again. But the way that they break down the objectives and the way that they did it differently, it's not just a list. It's a lot of fun to kind of accomplish stuff. I don't know.
So you're enjoying it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had it early. Shout out to my little Ubisoft plug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So listen, I was doing all these stupid ass, bro. I felt like the beginning intro was awesome. You see why he's there, who he is, all that. Then you stop playing as the girl, cool, whatever.
Yep.
But then I kept running into these like flashbacks. Like I'm like, damn, bro, I just want to.
All right, yeah.
I just want to get into the game, bro. Like it was just.
Yes.
So and then Berserk came out, and I just started playing that. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was gorgeous visually. Assassin's Creed's always, Ubisoft gets a lot of flack. I'm actually a Ubisoft supporter. I think I like their games. I like the Ghost Recons, but I think Assassin's Creed, the problem with this game, I think, is like
the pacing.
We've been asking for an Assassin's Creed Japan for years now. I just think, you know what I mean? I feel like there's just a lot of samurai games now, but I did enjoy my time with it. But I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it and it gets better because.
So you made a comment right now, and I gotta say, Nib, I want to hear your opinion too. Blaze, the one thing that Blaze said though, and maybe I don't know, everybody, I even have short-term memory with this. I'm playing it now. Yes, when you go to do what are the meditation stations, whether you're thinking about Ghost of Tsushima and here, the minute you go down to do the meditation areas that are all over the map, it brings you into what Blaze is talking about, which is a memory, and you'll go into the memory. And yes, it's a long-winded story with her father and with others, and it's lessons. What it is it's background to find out how when you are the person you see on screen right now, you became this amazing samurai and stealth warrior. How did you get there? But the way that's done during those that he's talking about, you keep going back in the past. Some of them are long-winded with very little action in the beginning, and it gets tedious and it's slow. So that definitely is a critique. But again, there's, it's Assassin's Creed. I felt like Assassin's Creed, they always have to sprinkle a little bit of that like slow, boring stuff, which this one here, the combat in the open world keeps me and there's so much loot everywhere. There's so much to do. It really reminds me a lot of like Ghost of Tsushima. Nib, what do you think? I know you had a couple comments. Nib, you playing it?
Yeah. I think I'm quite a way in. I think I'm 25 hours or something.
You're ahead of me. I'm probably 15 about right now.
I'm loving it so far. Like I'm super enjoying it. And I know I can totally see your viewpoint about some of the slower stuff. I personally love that. Like I like when you have like visuals and atmosphere and stuff this good.
Yeah.
And you're constantly throwing like seasons and weather effects and heavy wind that's billowing and all the trees and when you've got all this cool stuff going on, I like that it just gives the world time to breathe, and it's like it doesn't have to be always crazy action. Like I'm kind of immersed in the world and it feels a bit more lived in because of that. Like I really feel like this is I've been to Kyoto, and like, yes, it's not the olden day version of it, but for me, it's amazing to see a version of Kyoto that's done in this like, what is it, like 15th century or 16th century or whatever it's based in. It's just amazing to see it like that, and the attention to detail in everything from the architecture, the trees, the shrines, it's crazy. Like they put so much effort and care into this game. I love the combat. I love how different it can be. Like if you are a classic Assassin's Creed fan, right, and you don't like what's happened to this game, like the modern versions, perfect. Just play as Naue. Play as Naue, and it's basically classic. In fact, it's adapted. There's much more there's additional stealth things like creaking floorboards and more. You can go prone and hide about in the mud and get in the grass.
Neb, let me tell you, and my gameplay is not really showing it because you're seeing aspects here of the stealth. But what I'm doing more and more as I got further than this section you're seeing here is, yes, when I'm going into an area, a camp, praying station that you kind of go into, like I do attack the perimeter, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm getting leveled up and just I fight everything I can possibly fight. I love the combat. Like I said, I really, really do. I love the combos. And when I'm going in guns blazing, or in this case, swords, samurai like blazing. Like I'm just going in with swords going nuts. Like I want to take these. I don't care that there's 5 or 6 to come at you at once. They give you enough, like with the smoke bombs and things like that.
Yasuke or as Naue?
No way.
Oh, okay.
Well, the only reason I say I'm not far enough to have the other samurai yet. I only have Naue. I'm only
how many hours you got?
12 to 15.
Oh my god.
It's not good, right?
You're still not playing? Come on, bro. What?
No, it's like 15, 16 hours.
Yo, Blaze, I'm not lying to you. I put those hours in like last weekend, and this week I get home at night late. I can't, man. I'm back at work at 6 a.m, dude. Yeah. Even after this podcast, I'm probably gonna play a little bit, but I gotta be back at work at like 6.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I can't believe you're not playing as
Yasuke, yeah.
Yasuke.
Yeah, but Yasuke, you have to get further into the game to get to Yasuke. It's that's like 20 hours in.
Yeah.
And I will say the attention to detail is good. I love that you can dynamically cut down trees and bushes and barrels cut open and
everything.
All these fruit fly. It's great.
So Yasuke and Naue, they're so different, like in terms of like character personality, animations, like the way they move, and so Yasuke can't actually, like, he's not very nimble, so he's like hefty. He can't climb everything as well, and he can't even climb certain shrines. He'll be like, oh, I think Naue would need to do this. But it's really funny because even the way, so I'm not playing Naue like that. I'm doing stealth with Naue and like brute force with Yasuke, like go in and just fuck everything up, like, and the thing is with Yasuke, like even the way he just smashes through everything, like doors, bamboo, trees, fences, like tables, chairs, like you name it, like, baskets, and he just literally piles drive through, and there's really cool like physics and stuff where shit just flies everywhere into loads of pieces, and even when I'm running around the world and through town, sometimes, like, you know what, I can't be bothered to climb this. I'm just gonna run through it. It's like, like Juggernaut in X-Men. Like, I feel bad because I'm like, how much damage am I causing to the Japanese culture here? But it's cool because it's just a different. And then Naue is more delicate and nimble. Like,
bro, his combat. I've watched gameplay. His combat is just visceral, bro. You're just destroyed. Like, dude, his combat looks fire, bro. That's what I wanted to get to. No offense, like I just want to play as him, bro. I'm like, God, like, how long am I gonna?
It's like 20. It's like 20 hours in from what I hear. I'm not even there yet.
Yeah. So with Yasuke, like the only negative I'd say is like I found Naue combat to be. I found the game to be relative, not challenging, but like most Assassin's Creed games, like it's so easy that I don't even think. I'm just like blah 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 blah. I'm just like killing everyone one. You could kill like 40 people when you don't even blink an eye. I couldn't really do that with Naue. There were certain camps. Maybe they were like too high level, like they do much higher level than me. They would actually kick my ass, and I really enjoyed that. I was like, oh my god, it's an Assassin's Creed game that is actually relatively challenging.
Yes.
But but it's not really like that with Yasuke. I would say Yasuke is maybe a bit too easy.
I don't find that
because
I don't find that the game is that challenging. Maybe it is when you're going into an area that you probably shouldn't be in yet, early in the game.
Yeah. I do that all the time in this game.
Me too. So do I.
Like, yeah, like whatever high level shit. So I'll just go like, when you locate like a new castle or
castle or shrine or
and you hover over and it will tell you what the reward is.
Yes.
If it's like a high level reward or something in particular I really want, I'll do it even if like I shouldn't do yet, sort of thing. Even if it's something that I'm not high enough level for.
Right.
I just want to have it like in my arsenal. But yeah, so I love that. I love the seasons. I love the atmosphere. I love the world. I adore the fact that you can do such deep customization, because it's not just like, so like most games, and I hate this about games where like you get a piece of armor, a new gear or whatever.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say this. The visualize is really good.
Yeah, it looks like shit, bro. Like I look like a bloody like Michelin man or something.
Yeah,
I want to look cool. But this, not only can you wear anything that you've picked up previously, but you can individually customize your samurai swords. You can change the tsuba, you can change the handle, you can change the hilt, you can change the blade, you can change the...
Everything changes upon your customization. And Nib,
exactly.
Nib, you know what? In Death Singer, you'll like this. I literally went from Avowed to this game, going long game to long game. Avowed allowed you to do that too, which was pretty cool. I thought I really liked that, because I had a certain armor set in Avowed that I really liked, and then I got a much stronger set, and I was like, I have to wear this. But you could change the visualization. You could change to the one that you preferred, even if it was something you got early in the game.
Transmog.
That's what it was.
Transmog,
trans. What was it called? Was it transmog?
It's transmog. It's
like, that's what it was
in the other Assassin's Creeds. I feel like
it's like you.
No, you carry on. Go.
I was just gonna say, transmog is. They need to have that in stuff, because it's like, they brought it into Destiny 2 and it made all the difference, because you have a cool looking set. And you're like, you know what? This armor I have looks complete fucking garbage. And Final Fantasy 14, like the set that my character is wearing is the most diabolical thing you'll ever see. But I put transmog on it, so it looks pristine, perfect,
right?
And no one will ever know how hideous the character is.
But Mooch, I was going to say the other thing I really love about the game, and again, this is going to be like a personal thing, but everything about this game speaks to me, and actually, in a way, it speaks to me more than Ghost of Tsushima did, because the thing about this, and they're clearly like movie buffs, and they've clearly done an insane amount of like research in terms of like the history of film and cinema.
Yeah,
because it's like, in terms of the soundtrack and the music, it's got harkens back to like Lady Snowblood, Yojimbo, like old classic samurai films, Western Spaghetti, Kill Bill, like the type of music, the introduction of music, the visuals, the kind of grittiness of it, like it's really got that retro classic samurai vibe. But the cool thing is, it also interjects like modern music as well into it every now and again, like especially with like Yasuke and stuff. And I don't mean like hip hop or anything like that, but like just the type of beats, the drums, the snares, like it has an amazingly delicate line between like classic and instrumental and retro to like suddenly interject like really heavy B-line bassy, like, and it just gets you proper hyped up. So I just love that and the feel of the story and stuff. I will say, like, even though visually I think it's like, this is why I hate cross-gen, like this is a current gen only game and you can feel that shit.
Yes, you can.
This looks fucking spectacular.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you said that. I was going to say, you do have to take a moment to enjoy the visuals. And especially when you're seeing that wind that is going probably a good 35 miles an hour, right? And the trees are almost bending and the leaves and the debris, and you can see the dirt blowing right in front of you. Like, it is, I'm telling you guys, like, I don't like Valhalla put me, like Blaze was saying, one game put him, whatever it was, Tiny Tina's Wonderland put him into a coma. Like, Valhalla literally put me into a coma. Like, I could not get into it, and it was the only game I bought for the Xbox Series X, because it was the game, like, they didn't have a first party game, so I was like, I'll buy Valhalla for Xbox. I played like as much as I could, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't do it anymore. I can't.
No, but you're right. If you have, obviously you guys have walked through the forest, right? And when the wind's blowing, you can hear the wood like literally bending,
and creaking.
But here's the crazy thing, like, and then you have that, right, like with the wind, but then you have other times where it's like really heavy storm and everything's wet and there's mud everywhere. So when you're fighting, like you're having a samurai duel in the mud and the wet, it's just so slick with like lightning in the background. But then there'll be other times where it'll be like snowy or autumn leaves and stuff. So it's like it's cool how like the entire world is like it has a different vibe, a different feel, like all the time.
Yes.
Like, because this is the thing with Ghost of Tsushima, it's like it does have some of those. I think in Iki Island it introduces some like snowy stuff and whatever, but there is a tiny bit of sameness in the environment, and I think the season side of things takes care of that, because the same exact location can look dramatically different and just have a whole different atmosphere in the different seasons. So I'm enjoying that side of it as well. But altogether, I just think like the volume of content, the diversity of the different characters. I know there's controversy of people like don't want to play as Yasuke or whatever, but trust me, like he adds a amazing character dynamic, because obviously he's this big hefty dude, like black dude, and Japanese people are not the biggest people, so but you really feel like a badass tank, like you feel imposing, and they make insinuations about his color and where he's from and everything, but it's just an interesting dynamic to a story that we've had so many times. Like if this was just another bloody, it could just be another samurai game, but that it has its own sort of like qualities and own little sauce. And I love the interplay between him and Nawe. And even when you first meet her, sorry for spoilers, but when they kind of like have a little bit of a battle, it's just cool because she's nimble and cool.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny, Nib. The one thing, your microphone cut out, Nib. For some reason, it does that every once and again. Yeah. That's not your fault at all. But the one thing I want to say, I have to say, because Blaze said it. I said it last week, so I will reiterate it because we do have to say it in quotes. I'm also part of the Ubisoft Creator Program, so I got the game, but I didn't get it as early as Blaze. Blaze, you got the game like 2 weeks early or a week before it came out. I think he did, anyways. That's what he said. He said he got it earlier. I got the game a day before it came out. I was in wave 2. Yeah, that's why. That's why I tell everybody in the audience, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's get Mooch up there. I'm grateful. Listen, I'm grateful to get the review code.
No, I was in wave 2.
Oh, you were in wave 2. I got the game like a day before it came out. And
nice.
So I was like, all right, that's cool, but like I really would have liked to have gotten it like when everybody else, the first wave that got it like 2 weeks before.
Small time. Yeah,
I know
you'll be there before me.
Oh, get out of here! But I appreciate that, Blaze. But
I bought the game, and so I didn't get the game.
I just wanted to say that because you have to say it as like Blaze was right. You have to say it as a disclaimer because if you're talking about it, you're supposed to say that. Yeah. So I do want to say I got the game through the creative program, which is fantastic, by the way, and I am very appreciative. It would be nice to get it a little bit earlier so you could do an actual like I would wanted to have done. Right. I would have liked to have gone into an in-depth review versus what I've done now is to like, and I put them in. I still still counts that I talk about it, but at the same time, I would like instead of doing in progress review, I would like to have done a complete review. But go ahead, Nip.
I was gonna add this like disclaimer, right? So, basically, nearly all the Assassin's Creed games, bar maybe 2 and Black Flag, they sometimes start off quite strong, and then by the middle or end of the game or near the end, I end up disliking them. Not disliking them, but they get so bloated and repetitive, and so much shit all over the screen. And just the same old thing over and over and over again that I kind of like the excitement or whatever, the enjoyment that I have in the beginning is lost by the end. So as much of all the positivity I've said about Shadows, I'm not saying necessarily by the end of the game I will be as positive, because what I need to see from this game is, has Ubisoft been able to do a less is more? I don't mind like having a lot of stuff to do, but as long as it maintains being enjoyable and doesn't feel repetitious, I think this might actually be able to do that, because the different things that you're doing are quite different from one another. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually still even 25 or whatever hours in, doing stuff that I haven't actually done before. Like I met this guy, he was a random dude, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to I can't remember what they called it. It was a Japanese word for it, but it's essentially like sword play. And I thought like I'm just going to fight him or something. But instead, it was like this rhythm thing where I had to hold my triggers in a certain way, press the buttons in a certain combination, and you do kind of like a samurai dance art type thing, with
that's
the sword.
very cool.
And that. Yeah, and it was cool. And then like another one, what was it? There was another something else.
Did that
like
person become a scout for you after that? Is that what the reward was, or was it something else?
Not yet. So maybe I have to do a few more of them because he's like come back. Because you've started this training, but we need to do more.
Got it.
Maybe like after I've done the rest of it, he'll become
after
a scout.
you earn the trust. Some of them are the scouts early on are small things you do, and then they become bigger tasks. I've noticed as to gain their trust.
Yeah. So just little things like that. Like there's still cool little things that I'm experiencing that are mixing it up. Like I put it on my Twitter, but like I climbed up to this mountain to get to like one of those vantage points. And there's like all these dudes like impaled on crosses, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit brutal. And then there's this dude, and he's like hiding in the grass. So this is emergent gameplay that I like, right? So I go up. And I'm like, it has a skull above his head.
Yeah.
And then this little message pops up, and it's like, these are really high level enemies.
Yep.
Like, be cautious. Like, don't. and then he says to me in this like deep voice, he's like, oh, this is my like hunting spot. Like, get the hell out of here. And I'm like, me, I'm like, oh, I see a skull, and then I need to check this shit out. I need to see if I can actually.
That's what I do too.
So, so I start fighting him, and you can see in the clip, he's fucking smoke bomb. He's flipping around everywhere. He's like doing backflips and shit. I'm like, yo, I didn't sign up for this. Like, what is this crazy dude? Like, he's like acrobatic, like Spider-Man or something. And I'm like, oh damn. And then he throws a kunai at me from a distance, and it basically takes like all my health. I have a sliver of health, so I'm like, like I can't even. If this guy 2 hits me, I'm gone. Like I only have literally. So and every time I'm hitting him doing combos, is barely chipping away his health. So I'm like, this is gonna be one of those really really hard fights. I'm like, cool, like wicked. I'll do this. But then like I'm fighting him, and then I do like Yasuke has this like Sparta kick attack.
Yep.
And I do the Sparta kick, and I time it just right, and he literally flies off the mountain. And I wasn't sure. I was like, is he actually gonna die?
Dead?
And I see like he died. He went
did die.
all the way down, and he died. And I just see all this legendary shit pop up on the side, like you earned all this. And I'm like, yo, that was wicked.
So the game. So you knocked him off the mountain, and the game still literally gives you everything because you can't collect. You can't collect it. You wouldn't be able to get it, right? If it was
no, it still gave me everything. Yeah.
Wow.
And he was so far down, so I'm glad it did that. But it's just the cool little things like that. Like I like the fact that as I'm running around, I'm discovering stuff in this world, because previous Assassin's Creed were too rote. It was too mechanical, like, oh, give quest, do this. And at least like even organically as I'm running around, I'm finding stuff. So just, I don't know, it just feels like a bit of an evolution for the franchise as a whole. Even the way you get quests, the quest board, and seeing everyone's faces,
and that's the one thing I think people need to take away from your story. And Deathsinger, have you started this yet? Because I think this is your next big. Oh, it's not your next big one. Okay, I thought it was.
This is gonna, as I said to Erica earlier, it's like Assassin's Creed Shadows. It'll be going on sale, like Steam Winter Sale. It'll have a decent discount, and I'll pick it up then.
You beat Kingdom Come Deliverance. I thought this was next on your list.
No, I'll be avowed. Monster Hunter Wilds is next.
Oh, my apologies.
And I want to beat Monster Hunter Wilds before Clear Obscura. Then I want to play that, and then that'll take me into then May. And then I want to play Doom, and then I want to play Lost Soul Aside, and maybe like Night Rain's gonna have to take a back seat. So I'm already behind on releases.
Oh wow, okay,
so
I got you.
Assassin's Creed is going to have to be.
Okay,
I just don't have the time.
Like, no, listen. This year, everybody has an excuse to play the games as they want, because there's a game coming out every 2 weeks. No, but Nib, to go back to Nib's point here is just that when people say open world, and my gameplay is maybe not doing it justice, because I feel it's always more fun during the podcast to have more of the action sequences than me just kind of like roaming around and finding these people that are just, but there's so much, like when I'm on a path to go to do any side mission or main mission, there's like 20 different things to do on the side on the way. So I stop and you get off, and sometimes it's a conversation. Sometimes it's like he was saying, doing like that kata dance, and sometimes it's something else. But like, there's just a lot to do. So if you're looking for something that you're like, okay, I'm looking forward to a game that's coming out end of April or middle of May, and you don't have quite the extensive list that Deathsinger just had, right? Like, this game will definitely fill your plate for quite some time. And I do think it's done very well. And listen, I don't get Assassin's Creed vibes. You know, the whole thing with Assassin's Creed where you're an assassin and it brings you into real, not real world, recent times, and then you go back in. It doesn't do that in this game thus far. And from what I've heard from other reviewers, it doesn't do that for quite some time, or maybe not even till the end. I don't know. But it doesn't play like an Assassin's Creed game in that sense. So again, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed in the sense of the objectives and world, but it has that Ghost of Tsushima and that lore of just a lot of different things happening in the world all at once that are not always associated with a side mission or a main task.
I agree.
Yeah. There's a lot there.
It's weird. Like, so one of the things I loved about Black Myth Wukong is it feels like a real celebration of Chinese culture, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like even though this is made by a Western studio, there is a real celebration of Japanese culture in this game. And like, even a little thing like there's that mission with the tea party, right?
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I didn't know they take tea ceremonies and just the act of how you turn the bowl, the way you pour
turn it to the right, you turn it to the right twice, and you offer, you have a gift offering. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And just the preparation, that was the tea set.
Yeah, Kofi hasn't started this yet, I don't believe. And Kofi's he's muted right now, so he told me a couple times during the podcast he was gonna have to step away. But yeah, there is some outstanding Japanese traditions in this, and like I say, it's not always action based either. It's like it's things you have to do in the world. Go and get this, and then come back.
Yeah.
And then they take you through that tea ceremony, and that was actually, I gotta say. And that was one of the things I thought that was very, very well done. I really enjoyed it. I agree with you, Nib.
Yeah, I did too. So yeah, again, like I don't know what my opinion will be at the end of the game, but so far I will say this: like I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed Monster Hunter Wilds. So and
that's
I know
something.
Like this. And I know this hasn't. And I've beaten Monster Hunter Wilds now. Yeah, I think I'm Hunter rank like 80 or something, but it's like I know that's not that high compared to some other people, but it's high enough to do all the end game stuff. But yeah, like so far, like amazing. It's taken me by surprise. I'm enjoying it way more than I thought I would. I think Blaze said earlier, Ubisoft gets a bit of a bad rep, but this doesn't really feel like that so far. This feels like you said, it's more like a Ghost of Tsushima. Maybe some people wouldn't like.
Nibs Mike will be right back.
Yep.
Shit! I was just gonna say some people might not like that they've slowed it down so much, the pacing wise. But for me, like I find that more alluring.
Well, you also become, like anything else, you do become accustomed to it. So where I do agree with Blaze in the beginning, I was like, oof, I like the meditation stations more in Ghost of Tsushima, but these are growing on me. And now as you get further and further and continue to play the game, guess what happens? The story means more to you. You're trying to find out what happened with. How did she get to where she was? What happened to her? The clan, and what happened to this group, and what happened to this, and what and like that's really, really interesting, and it develops the character and the reason you're fighting, and the reason that when there is this unbelievable 40,000 troops coming to take over, it's easy to just say we're going to fold, but then you see what happens when you fold. They don't even have any. They don't have any mercy for you anyways. So you're like, we're gonna fight, and it's good. Honestly, it's very good.
I'll say there's just one final thing, as like because like I am interested in this period of history, like Nobunaga unification of Japan. Like to me personally, it was a really interesting period, and I have done like a lot of research and stuff into it, just out personal enjoyment. But like I was wondering, like, how are they gonna intertwine that into the story? And I'm not gonna say anything because you're not there yet, and like, people who are listening might not have played it. But like, even like how things went with Nobunaga and how they interjected certain things that happened, like in real history, and how they intertwined that with Nawe and Yasuke, I thought was really cool. Like, I just thought, okay, that was a really well executed version of how everything played out. And maybe the story gets shit later, I don't know. But so far, like, yeah, I'm really interested to see how things develop.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to reconvene this to maybe 2 weeks from now. Because it's a large game, so even if you're 25 hours in now, I would assume that you'd still want a good 7 to 10 days to play it further. Yeah. Same goes for me. But yeah, I will say this though. I want to say it's been 3 hours and 30 minutes now. I said to Blaze 2.5 hours. Now it's 3 hours 30 minutes. But I want to say, shout out to everybody. You guys are all awesome. Blaze, you guys are great. The panel's great. Chat, you guys have been great. Shout out to CT Fire too. When I said subscribe, please, to the channel, he just hit the button right away. So I appreciate that. Mash, I didn't say it out loud. I said it earlier. I don't know if you were here, but thank you for those 20 gifted memberships. It really means the world to me, guys. Thanks for the super chats tonight too. Great to see that kind of support. And like I said, we're gonna be playing these games. We're gonna be talking about these games. You guys help. And I didn't promote it earlier. I was talking to Erica about it. Hopefully, Erica comes back to Twitch. She's doing YouTube streaming, which is phenomenal. But I'm gonna be over there, guys. We're still on the path for end of April. The same way I'm religious with CrossFire, and I don't miss CrossFire on Thursdays. We are going to be doing Twitch, and it'll be 2 days a week, and it'll be 3, 4, 5 hour streams, and that will be religious. We're going to follow it just the way we always do here for CrossFire. So it's Mooch TV everywhere, M00CHTV, drop the O's for zeros. Go over. I saw a lot of people going over and following us there. I really appreciate it. The number's really good. I think we have just about 2,000 people over on Twitch now. We're going to do a great job of keeping on that schedule and keeping you guys entertained. Not only with new games that come out, but yes, we are going to be doing a lot of Warzone initially, especially with Verdansk coming back. I got a team assembled. We're going to have a lot of fun. Shout out to James Vincent. You guys will know him as Echo in the future. It's awesome, dude. We have a great lineup of things planned over there. Please do go over and follow us there as well as here if you're not, and over on Twitter, now X as well. I'll go in reverse order here and say shout out to Nib. Nib, thanks for being here, buddy. I apologize. I should have mentioned the time zone situation again because of daylight savings. So you were like, wait, it's only 11. So
that was my fault.
I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad you could join us. That's okay. It's not at all. That's literally a mistake. That's nobody's fault. But Nib, I appreciate you being here. Let people know where they can find you. And, in a week or two, I'll love to have you back on to hear your final review of Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Amazing show as always. Like, I'm more and more excited to be on these days just because it's nice to like different people getting their perspectives and stuff.
I appreciate that.
But
yes.
Yeah, it's just X NIB95_. But I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, anytime and always. Shout out to the great Death Singer. Death Singer, great to have you here as well, buddy. I wanted to get every single take from you, and buddy, you never disappoint. Let people know where they can find you, and thanks for being here tonight, Death Singer.
Oh, it's also awesome panel. We have Blaze. Always a pleasure chatting with Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
And Erica, and it's just fantastic. This show was one of the best, I'd have to say, Mooch.
It was a lot of fun tonight.
But on the Assassin's Creed thing, I'm super excited to play it. I was worried because Valhalla I thought that was a bad game, and then I was like, okay, so you had Origins, good game. Odyssey, good game. Valhalla, bad game. So I was like, okay, is this going to be another bad game? Are we going to go 2 for 2? But no. So, I mean, fair play to him. I can't wait to play this game. And you can find me everywhere at Death Singer, You can find me over on X, giving my incredibly bad takes that some people like. And, just be warned. When I put out a bad take, and I'm absolutely laughing and it's hilarious, I do have it muted, so that's the thing.
Just be warned, everybody. Yeah, he may not respond.
I have it muted. I post it, mute it. Yes, sir.
That's actually a very sane thing to do, Death Singer. I like that.
It is a very sane thing because there's some not sane people.
No, it is the public, so you're not wrong on that one.
Probably do that more often.
Yeah,
I respond to too many people.
Yeah, it's literally just post it. People are going to respond to it, and then you just hit the mute, and then come back to it the next day, and then you're just like, I'll reply to you.
Post it, mute it, walk away. There's the rules for X, guys. That is actually
that's great. You did walk away.
That is great free advice. Shout out to the great Death Singer. Blaze, my brother from another mother. Great to have the great Blaze here tonight. Blaze, love when you're on the show, buddy. You bring out that like opinion in people. You know what I mean? You're like, listen, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm going to hit you with this. And everybody's got to respond, which I absolutely love. Blaze, love it when you're on the show, buddy. You know, I only throw the Mooch symbol up there when I really, because
you can do it more often, bro. It's okay. Bro.
All right, I'm just asking out loud, because I love having you on.
I know. Likewise, bro. To get you on the show, it's a bigger ordeal. It's later. It's on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? It's Saturday.
It's a little bit
shit going on.
It's a little more difficult, but I love it. Yeah, with the camera thing too. Yeah.
I got Mooch on camera on the bro. Am I the first to get you on camera on the podcast?
On a podcast, I would maybe, yeah. But I mean, I'm on camera. I've been on camera here for when we do our reveals and over on Twitch as well. Yeah. We also did all the showcases, PlayStation, Xbox showcase. We do on cam.
That's true.
I do Twitch. I do yours, and then I think there might have been one else, but you were the first. Yeah, you were the first on podcasting for sure, Blaze. Well, you had a rule. That was your rule.
Yeah.
You're like, look, man, you got to be on camera. I said, all right, fine.
You know how much love I got for you, bro. You already fucking know, bro. You're like, for real, you're like my brother, bro. I
appreciate that,
like I said,
Blaze.
if you ever need me, if I can do it, I'll do it. Short notice, don't matter. Just hit me up, bro.
I try to give you a little more than that, though. You know what I mean? Because I know you got family, you got things going on, too.
No, I know, man. But it's not a big deal. It's not like every week. I remember I told you, hey, hit me up anytime. Big Cloud's like, he's gonna hit you up every day, bro. You messed up. Like,
shout out to Bit. I gotta get Bit back out here. Bit's great, dude. Bit's not wrong. He ain't wrong.
He's making a little comeback,
That'd be great, man. No, all these great plays.
It's nice talking to Nib. Never. I don't know if I've ever spoken to him, but
really?
The way he articulated himself on Assassin's Creed, honestly, it's making me want to go back to it and actually give it another go.
Appreciate it, dude. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Kofi. Shout out to Death Singer, my guy. You already know. And shout out to the chat. And tomorrow's Friday, baby. So shout out to y'all.
Thank God. My God, I cannot wait for Friday. And shout out to Kofi, Creative Kofi. Kofi, you're muted. Kofi, interrupt me at any point in time. I think he said he had to step away. So shout out to Kofi. I do want to give a couple shout outs that I had to leave early. Shout out to Eric Cuts for the win. That's Eric Cuts for the win. It's exactly what it is over on YouTube. Go over and check her out. She does an outstanding job. And she's just, she's a Souls. She's a Souls. She loves Souls games. She plays any type of, I think she does that, and she does Gears. She used to do Gears of War. Now she doesn't as much. But it's great to have Erica back on. I reached out to her a couple weeks ago. She said, listen, I'll let you know when I can do it. I got a hold of her again. She says, yep, you can't believe the timing was spot on. She was off today. She goes, I'll be there. So it's great to have Erica back on the show. Shout out to Brap who had to leave. Brap was like, I got a lot of, he's a baseball coach. He's a basketball coach. He does so many things. It's at Brap_podcast. He did an impromptu one last night. I think he's going to do one again tomorrow night on Friday at 9 p.m. Go over and check him out over there. Shout out to the Crap Gamer. Crap wrote me on Monday. He goes, Mooch, I don't let you down, but he goes, I'm not going to be able to be there this week, but he'll be back next week. That's _Crap Gamer and Crap Gamer Reviews over on YouTube. And go over and check out the Great Gaming Forte along with Slow-Mo Backslap. They're doing DPS right now. If you go over there from here, tell them Mooch sent you. Guys, great show. I got to agree with that singer. This is going to be one that's just goes in the books. This was a lot of fun. The chemistry was fantastic. The chat was on fire. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the people that subscribed. Thanks again to MASH for all those member subscriptions. We'll be back next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And remember, end of April, we're over on Twitch. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out. Good night. Play some games.
Laters, everyone.
Peace.
I'm just excited to jump back into Shadows now. I should be sleeping.